talk about this. We don't want to talk about it. We talk about sex. We talk about school. Here now, join us. Welcome to the Michael Blum Show. We are trying some new software out. There's stuff going on here, so I hope that everything works out fine today. I've spent a bit of time on this. This is a nice, beautiful software presentation to basically what we've been doing before, but we're not going to be doing it now. So I'm switching things up, basically, I guess is what I'm saying. And so that's pretty much where we're at right now. I'm going to be switching a whole bunch of things up here. I'm trying to work on getting the studio together. Looks like we're streaming pretty well from what I can see. Let's see. It's good. This is more, rather than me have to set up like individual things all over the place here, I can just pretty much I can just pretty much do whatever the heck I want here, but it's all through software. So I have to get used to software here. So please forgive me tonight if I'm a little bit kind of goofy with this or whatever. Anyway, I do want to wish everybody a great week. We had some Comcast problems here in Boca Raton last week, so we couldn't really get a broadcast together and get it out in time. That's unfortunately how it goes quite often with Comcast. So you should be able to see almost up my nose with this video with the newer cameras and a couple of other things going on. I'll check this all out later. The hardest thing whenever you start to do software stuff like this is to go ahead and get the phone systems to be working properly. For that reason, although you may see up on the main splash screen, which is kind of this one, okay, you may see on the main splash screen a phone number. I am not going to open up phones this evening until I've completely tested this out. I will make an outgoing call on the system just to see if we can get our guest in, which we do have someone set up a little bit later in the show to go ahead and to talk about some stuff with us. It will be pretty much a political evening this evening, and I hope everyone enjoys, and I hope everyone will watch. Like I said, there will be no phones for this particular broadcast, but starting next week or next time around, that shouldn't be an issue. We'll go ahead and just do that, and it should be good. So far, it looks like I'm doing okay here. The Republicans and I'd say actually the legislature in general is not doing anything. Trump can only do so much without the help of the legislature, and I think Trump needs to do a little bit more. He needs to really become the boss, because it's become quite apparent to me that basically the people of the United States, don't really matter. You're needed, unfortunately, due to that Constitution to go ahead and get people elected. But once that happens, you are absolutely worth nothing. Absolutely nothing to the particular political cartel that we have in power right now. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Republicans are red and the Democrats are blue, but neither party gives a crap about you. And that is the absolute truth. They don't. I mean, I don't know how more disappointed I can be in the Republicans. They've been saying for the last 7 years to go ahead and repeal, and replace, or at least repeal Obamacare, and they can't get it done. At least that's what I thought. They can't get it done. I don't believe that to necessarily be the case anymore. I think they won't get it done. I think they don't want to get it done. I have no idea what they're really thinking about, because Trump did posted a tweet a couple of days ago, basically is saying that it's going to be a terrible fallout for that party if they don't do what they said they were going to do. Shocking, isn't it, that the President of the United States actually wants the legislative branch to do things that they said they've done, would want to do? Obviously, there is just no desire on the part of the Republicans, as far as I can see it, to go ahead and get anything done. And if this is not done, then tax reform won't be done, and basically nothing will be done. Now, it's odd to me because the Republicans have this unusual thing where they have the majority in every place, yet they still act like they lost an election. There's no joy there. It doesn't look like they feel that there's anything going on at all other than loss. These guys got to get their acts together. If this winds up being just a lame duck 2 years with the Republicans in power completely and totally, what a shame, man. What a shame. Our country is basically doomed. And it's a terrible thing. I mean, the insurance thing, they can't get that together. Really? Just repeal. I seem to remember that 10 years ago, there was no such thing as Obamacare, and people weren't dying in the streets. And, that's the politicians. Fear and pain are the biggest motivational factors in life, I think. People used to say, I remember when I was a kid, I used to watch a show called Candid Camera. It starred Alan Funt, and he would say that humor and laughter is the universal language. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, there's some British humor I don't get. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a universal language. I think fear and pain, that's the universal language. And that's what the Democrats do all the time when anything happens with Republicans or Republican Party. I mean, it would be maybe a little bit less horrific if it was one of the team, if you will, one of the political elites was actually elected. But that's not the case. The political elites were not elected. The Senate was not elected to be the president. California was not elected to be the president. There is an elected official, the president of the United States there. And Trump has to start, the art of the deal. Well, let's see it, buddy. Let's see it, buddy. I mean, I'm not disappointed in Trump in terms of what he's done. I mean, you have to realize he's done a lot of things, and mainstream media will never let you know what that is because it just does not fit into their agenda. If it doesn't fit into the agenda, why bother? If it's not about Russia. Oh, here's the news. The news this for the last, last week was Russia. I mean, I forgot who did the polling, but CNN, 93% of the time was Russia. You could turn on that network just about at any point in time, and Russia, and that's all you get. One thing about this software, and I got to check this out a little bit to see where it is I'm getting a couple of likes. Very, very good. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Is that because it's all software based, I don't have like individual iPads up in this place right now. And because of that, I really can't see comments that come through too much. Okay, so I'm trying to, in addition to do all of this, is to actually go ahead and see if I can find comments going on here on a separate like little laptop that I have going, and this way I will be able to also manage that as well. But that's something else. I like to welcome people as they come on. I'm not going to be able to do it with this software package, so I'm working on just a different way to go ahead and get this done and completed. I'm not sure really. I can't tweet from here. Let's see. I'm not sure what that'll do. So again, bear with me. I can see myself here on Facebook. I'm not going to start the stream. I don't need to. And some of the comments do pop up, but I'm not getting much on the Twitter feed on Periscope at this point. So anyway, before I was just sidetracked by myself, feel free, particularly on the Facebook folks, if you want to comment about anything and make sure that you can hear me well and you can see me well and all this stuff is working out well and it all looks good. I'll be able to do a hell of a lot more with this particular broadcast software than I was in the past. I'll be able to do actual videos for you to see, not just the audio for stuff. You'll be able to kind of experience the whole deal. And hopefully your computers can pick this up and do this. And by the way, I know people listen to me a lot through Facebook and through Periscope. We do archive shows, by the way, and we do. I do have the website where you could actually see everything. So if for some reason your feed isn't working out on your Facebook app, if you go to michaelblumshow.com, it's a long one, Michael, MichaelBlum show.com. If you go there, then you'll be able to go to one of the tabs up on the top. The tabs on the top, one of them says Listen Now. Click that, and you can either choose the Periscope stream or the live stream that goes to Facebook. I'll need some comments about it. I mean, I'm sure this will record well and do whatever I think it's going to do. But I need to get a little bit more than that going on. And like I said, I can't do a hell of a lot with it at this point in time. So anyway, healthcare, back to that. Healthcare is a tough problem. Insurance is a tough problem. You know, as a doctor, I deal with insurance all the time. Let me tell you, they're not the funnest people in the world to deal with at all, with anything or for anything. It's unbelievable how actually terrible they are. Um, you're not in good hands. You're not in good hands. Let's see. I commented. Okay, a few seconds ago. Let me see if I can figure out what this comment is. Loud and clear in South Carolina. Well, you know, if it's loud and clear in South Carolina, Jesse, thank you so much for the input. I'm assuming it's going to be loud and clear all over the place. I wish I could figure this out, though, with the tweeting here, but I don't know. I can futz around a little bit with that, too. So anyway, insurance. I deal with them all the time. Let me tell you something. In case you did not know that, you are not in good hands with Allstate. Nationwide is not on your side. State Farm isn't always there. And the farmers grow nothing. They are, in my opinion, particularly on the dental end, fraudulent. I mean, a really fraudulent bunch of nonsense that they sell to people. You know, really a bunch of nonsense. And everyone has their own particular horror stories. I had my horror stories. But I think there's nothing that can really beat this horror story. And so I want you to just listen to this and watch this.
They told me flat out, Brian, we're not going to pay for the life-saving procedure. But oh, by the way, have you considered assisted suicide? I had 2 patients recently in Nevada on my service. Both needed life-saving procedures. Not palliative care, not hospice. These would have been curative procedures. One patient was from California, which has passed assisted suicide, and one patient was from Oregon, which has had it for 20 years. In both cases, when I was explaining the need for transfer for a life-saving treatment to the insurance medical director in both of those states, we hadn't requested assisted suicide. It wasn't put on the table. We weren't looking for life-extending treatment. We were looking for a curative treatment in both cases. And yet assisted suicide was offered up instead. I've taken care of somewhere in 4 figures worth of terminally ill patients. Compassion and care is what I'm all about. But this hurts people. This is not about compassion and care. This is about limiting choice and taking care options away from everyone. If I give you a terminal diagnosis, we are often horribly wrong, and the literature bears this out in predicting how long you're going to live. We might say you have 4 months or 5 months. These bills say less than 6 months. You might go a year, 2 years, 5 years with a good quality of life. This is not legislation about aid in dying. It's not a right to die. This legislation gives physicians permission to kill, and we're not very good at predicting how long you have. Now, the most important part to me are the people that have nothing to do with this. The people who are not terminal, the disabled, the depressed, the poor and marginalized, being forced down this road because they're going to be denied treatment by insurance companies, just like my 2 patients were denied treatment. And you know, the critics can say, oh, there's not proof, or you're looking at somebody it happened to twice already. And it's not even legal in my state yet. It's just legal in bordering states. This is a travesty of social justice.
It's an act of resistance.
I consider that to be kind of like amazing. Don't you, folks? Absolutely amazing. This is how insurance works. You see, if you give them a procedure code, they'll go ahead and use it. And as the medical associations come out with new procedures like assisted suicide, those become things that become privy to what will be and will not be covered by insurance companies. So, of course, if you're elderly or you have some type of illness, as this doctor said, that becomes a viable alternative. Why are you bothering wasting your time with people when you can go ahead and just kill them? That's all that you can do. All you can do there, and it's sad but true. And like I said, everyone has their own little personal stories about it. I mean, I remember a couple of things. Most flagrant, my wife left New York City and was covered under Blue Cross and Blue Shield when she left, and she was pregnant with our first, no, with our second kid. She was pregnant with our second kid when we moved to Florida. And according to the contract is that if she started all of these procedures through this insurance company, they needed to complete and pay for the rest of it through the remainder of the course of that pregnancy. We moved down to Florida in her 8th month. She spent her last month here, and they refused to pay, even though they had been paying all along. And the only reason that they did that is they figured, you're in Florida, go sue us. Fortunately, my brother was an attorney in New York. So after a couple of letters and the threat of a lawsuit, they actually did what their contract said they would do. This is the nature of insurance companies. This is why if you go to any major city in the United States, the largest buildings in that city are owned by insurance companies. That's what they do. They love Obamacare. I mean, it's like subsidies to them. I mean, these lower rates, they're not paying for it. It comes out of your pocket. All of that came out of your pocket to go ahead and do any and all of that stuff. It really is amazing. I mean, it can go on. I was insured here by the principal down in Florida, and my wife needed some kind of extensive surgery. And it was done on an outpatient basis, and because it was an HMO, it was all predetermined, and it had to be authorized by the company, and all of that happened, and they did all that. Year and a half after the procedure, I get a call from the outpatient facility, and it says they're asking us to refund money back to the insurance company. I said, don't you do that. How dare you? I said, why would they do that? And then they contacted me, and basically what the principal said to me is, hey, we changed our mind. We thought you would be covered, but we made a mistake. So now give us back all the money. Another attorney, another couple of letters. And had it not been for them approving the procedure, it would not have been done, and therefore they're stuck with it. But this is what they do. They're not in the business of paying you out. They're in the business of collecting premiums, taking that money, spending as little as they can on you, and going ahead and then helping their board of directors become extremely wealthy and do whatever they can to go ahead and buy those biggest buildings in the world. I mean, that is exactly what they do. So you're not in good hands with these folks at all. I was, by the way, this morning I was on the Steve Kane Show. If you don't know the Steve Kane Show, it's Steve Kane Radio with a K for Kane, radio.com. It is the longest running talk show in the state of Florida. Always fun to be with him. And we talked a little bit this morning, and it was kind of like a good conversation about what is the big difference between going to dentists and what is the big difference between that as compared to going to medical guys. And basically, in the medical model, it's kind of like being elected, being a person, being one of the people of the United States that elects other people. You see, after we've elected people, then we're forgotten. The electorate is forgotten. I mean, this entire Congress, Democrat and Republican, basically at this point in time is saying, damn to you. We don't give a crap about you, people of the United States. That's exactly what they're saying. And in the medical model for physicians, that's exactly what it is with a patient. Okay, you have to vote. So you have to come in and show up and have some disease that they can bill. After that, they don't really give a crap about you because, one, you're not paying them. Two, they don't have to do anything nice or special for you. So it's a completely different thing. There is no sense of real competition. Nothing has to go on that way at all in the medical model. You are the meal ticket to the paycheck through the insurance company. And by the way, the doctors don't get what they charge. They get a predetermined fee. So fees are set by insurance companies. Doctors can't go around and just charge whatever they want unless it's absolutely elective surgery that insurance wouldn't cover anyway. And if that's the case, then that's good. Insurance doesn't cover it. You go ahead and do it. I mean, I think that the plastic surgeons and all those folks that are doing things that basically are cosmetic in nature, none of that's covered with insurance, so they do quite well. And their model changes those folks to the dental model. And the dental model is very, very different. The dental model basically is the patient is everything. In the dental model, the patient is absolutely everything. They need to go to the dentist. The dentists don't need to go to them. They are the ones that bring us what we need. Insurance, as I said before, is a farce on the dental side. Dentistry is rather expensive. So if you need $5,000 worth of treatment and you have a great, quote unquote, great insurance policy, they may pay $1,000 on your behalf per year. Not cumulative, but per year. So someone comes in, they need $5,000, now they need to pay $4,000 because that's all that will ever be covered in a given year by those folks. So what does the dentist have to do? The dentist has to realize that he's way more in competition with the other dentists in the area than the medical profession has to worry about at all. I mean, they don't have that concern, doesn't enter into things. How they're going to get paid doesn't enter into things. With a dentist, the patient pays them. So the dentist must be made to be happy. And that's the job of the dentist to do. So you get way better service out of the dental model than the medical model. Now, the medical model came into effect in the 60s when insurance started to become prevalent. Before that, you just had like a major medical policy. You got hit by a truck, you were covered, and you paid for everything else. You know, and that's pretty much how it went. And there are alternatives to the medical model that we have right now. There was an article that I did read, and I thought it was pretty good. I'll go through some of it. I'll go through some of it here, but I thought it was pretty good. This is an article. It's by an Alan Wayne Root, and basically he's talking about a healthcare situation, and I think that he's using as the example someplace in Singapore. It's the Singapore model. Well, the first thing you got to realize with any of this stuff is that is to try to keep the government out of everything. The government does not do anything really well. You got to still remember that. The government doesn't do anything well at all. They can't mail a letter without losing money. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, they rob those funds. They're not there anymore. Thieves offer your money. Thieves offer your money. Harry Truman said that it's impossible for politicians to make money in politics unless they're crooks. Here you go. So back to insurance. Anyway, you got to keep the government out of it. The government can't do anything right. The only thing they run well is the IRS. That's it, because they want your money. Other than that, nothing. Keep them out of it. They can't do anything. You think the government is concerned with your health? Who should make your decisions for you? The government or you and your doctor? Are you so stupid or so millennialized that you cannot make those decisions anymore? Is that too adulting for folks out there? It's absolutely ridiculous. Keep the government out. Out the government. Goodbye. Anyway, that's what should be. Basically, the model in Singapore is pretty cool. They have two different tracks, those that can afford, those that can't afford. In those that can afford model, basically, everybody out of their own pocket per year, if they needed to, would have to pay $10,000 worth of bills in medical. Okay? And they can do it with a health savings plan, and 100% of all of that is tax deductible. You don't have to pay. It comes off of your income right off the top. And for anything that occurs over that, you have to buy a cheap, no-frills, catastrophic policy. Most of them cost about $100 to $200 a month, and that would cover everything else. And the federal government guarantees, they do guarantee that all of your bills over the $10,000 will be paid by those insurance companies. That's the government interference that you have there in Singapore, is that they mandate that the insurance companies do what they are contracted to do, which is something they don't do that often. So everything over the 10K figure is covered. It's covered through your policy, and the government makes sure that that's how it happens. And just like car insurance in certain states and all of that, everyone has to carry it. There is a mandate with this particular plan. So the answer is, you can another thing that would help buying your policies across state lines anywhere, and you'd see things come down. Buying even your prescription drugs anywhere from any country across country lines would lower your health care. And it would also be of great help, I think, to people if doctors and hospitals posted prices online. So you can pick your doctor based on the affordability of that particular practitioner. And you'll see costs come down dramatically. When people can go online and see, well, this hospital is charging this and this hospital is charging that, that's when you're going to start to get some competition. And that will make all of this stuff become a little bit more palatable. Okay? Limit rewards on patient claims. I think you could do something very, very simple. You see, in England, it's different. It's the prevailing party pays for everything. Okay? So the prevailing party pays for everything. That's very, very interesting. It would never happen in the United States because I don't think the United States really is interested in that much. But basically, if you made these people say that if you sue a doctor and you're not successful, the attorney and the attorney's client are responsible for the court costs, you'll see that all of a sudden a dramatic drop in frivolous lawsuits. It's amazing because, just like when I sit and I learn the best techniques to go ahead and take care of a patient, attorneys are sitting in some room very similar to mine, learning the best way to sue dentists or doctors. Okay, and that's what they do. Now, they know that certain companies are just going to cough up money. Okay, and so if you call them up and you say, this doctor has this particular insurance policy for malpractice, the attorneys know, I could make a phone call and get 50 grand. And that's the deal with the insurance company. Sometimes it is just worth it for them to pay off on these things rather than to have to prevent them or deal with them in any other realistic fashion. Okay. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, a device. It's a device going off in my studio. And I thought everything was off here. Go to shut up. I hope it don't happen again. If not, I'll have to make sure all this stuff is off, which it usually is. But anyway, that's pretty much some of my feeling about what's going on with the insurance industry, and all of that. Now, you go ahead now. What happens now for the tier 2 people? Now you have people, they can't afford any of that stuff. So, no problem. The government will help you out, and they will cover you. One little wrinkle. There's a work requirement. Let's take care of this. I thought this, why is this on? Why the heck is this thing on? Everyone's commenting. That's good. I'm glad, but I don't want to answer them right now. I can't do that. Okay. So if you have no money, that's no problem. They'll go ahead and cover you, but you must work. If you're able-bodied, you're not taking care of children, you can go ahead and work. If you can't work, they will train you to work. If you can't find work, they'll go ahead and put you to work. They'll find a job for you. They'll do whatever that needs to be done to go ahead and do whatever has to be done for your medical problems, as long as you work. If you don't work, guess what? You get nothing. So you want free health care? If you don't work, you don't get the check. So from now on, you want health care paid by the government? You get a job, or the government will get a job and provide it to you. There are way too many ways government employees, about 22 million of them nationwide. Most of them get heavily bloated salaries and unaffordable pensions. How about taking some of those millions with all of those people and give it to people who need free health care? They'll get their free government-run health care, and they'll have they'll save taxpayers a ton of money. No one gets a free ride. That's the story. No one gets a free ride, and America can be great again. That's the whole thing, and that's all that it's really about. I'm going to take a quick break at this time. Once I figure out how to get my software together and do this, I think I could just do that as an overlay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. We're going to call up our guest, and we'll get going. Anyway, you are listening to The Michael Blum Show, and we will talk in a minute or two. Let me just find this. See, this is it. I need a big screen, maybe. Got my bumpers. Got all of that. Where's my ads? Ads. Here they are. The ads are all over the place. Anyway, we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. If you would like to be part of the Michael Blum Show and be a sponsor, call us at 800-524-8040 or email me at michael@michaelblumshow.com. We could have been listening to your commercial for your business rather than this stuff. Call us at 800-524-8040. Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, Michael, at blumradio, BLUM radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air. Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, Michael, at blumradio, BLUM radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air. Hi.
Most people put off dental work until the last possible moment. You know, long work days, daily commitments, and even costs can be challenging to your dental health. 20 years ago, the Center for the Dental Arts was created as a dental practice that would be different from most. A place that has office hours until 8 p.m. to accommodate the busiest schedules. The staff of the Center for Dental Arts is naturally caring to ensure your comfort, treating you like family, while your smile is at the center of their attention. The Center for the Dental Arts features general, cosmetic, and implant dentistry, all in one convenient downtown Fort Lauderdale location. Especially in these times, the Center for the Dental Arts is finding ways to make sure you smile with the best quality work at a price you can afford. Call 954-463-4999 and ask for the new patient special. Call the Center for Dental Arts today and see for yourself how they've been making people smile for over 20 years. Call 954-463-4999. That's 954-463-4999 at the Center for Dental Arts.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. Join me on Mondays from 9 to 11 p.m. for The Michael Blum Show, where we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex, substance abuse, spirituality, and politics. Think, speak, and be heard. Join us on The Michael Blum Show. Hi, this is Michael Blum. If you would like to be part of The Michael Blum Show and be a sponsor, call us at 800-524-8040 or email me at michael@michaelblumshow.com. We could have been listening to your commercial for your business rather than this stuff. Call us at 800-524-8040. Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980.
Well, folks, welcome back. I hope that wasn't too boring there. I had to figure out some looping things, and I got to, like I said, this is kind of like a beta broadcast for me. Not a terrible thing, but a beta broadcast for me, certainly. So I'm enjoying it. I hope everyone else is, and the streams are working out well. We're going to go ahead now and see how about our phone system here. So let's go ahead and make a phone call to our guest for the evening, see if he's around, see if he's home, and see what we can do.
Hi, you've reached Michael. Please leave your name and
I
phone
don't
number,
want
and
to
I'll call
call
you back
me.
as soon as possible. Thanks.
Why is it calling me? I gotta figure this
At the
out.
tone, please record your message.
Oh boy,
When
oh
you
boy.
finish
Sorry,
recording,
folks.
you may hang up
Hang up,
or
hang up.
press 1 for
Here,
more
let's hang up.
options.
I want to hang up. Let's hang up on me. 561. How did this number get here? I swear, things just kind of like appear where they shouldn't. Kind of goofy. But let me go ahead and get the right one here. 516. Oh, I better not say this number out loud. It is streaming out there, isn't it? So let's see now if we call this number up. Will it go back to me? Yeah, it goes back to me. I don't know why it does that. Let's see. Go back to me. I think it's going to go back to me. It keeps on switching that number up. Let me see how I can do this then. United States. Maybe I'm just in the wrong place. This is Skype. I got to get used to Skype, I guess. I've switched my phone system stuff too, so that's going to be interesting. Let's see if we call that up, if that will just give us the number we need.
Hello?
Hi, Andrew. How you doing? It's Michael Blum with the Michael Blum Show.
Okay, great. I'm right here.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Folks out there, we have on the phone with us right now, we have Andrew Shatkin, who is a legal expert and an author, stemming from somewhere in the bowels of New York or New York State. Where are you from exactly, Andrew?
I'm from Queens, and I'm an educational and business consultant right now, a writer, speaker, and author, and I am in Long Island.
Long Island, okay. Or it's like we used to say Long Island.
Manhasset, to be exactly, is where I am right now, where I have an office.
What's happening in Islip? I mean, I hear some horrible stuff coming out of Islip, and I don't really get it.
I don't know. I mean, you could enlighten me. Who knows everything, you know?
Oh, gosh. Okay. There was some, like, gang violence and stuff like that. And you don't...
Yes, there was. Yes. As a matter of fact, there was. Yeah, I read about it. Yeah, there was.
And I usually don't expect out in Long Island for there to be kind of like...
No, not that much.
Like that. You know, not that much kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, you said you were author. How many books have you done, or you do just pretty much?
I have a fifth book coming out on the parables in the Bible, but I've also written 5 book chapters of a legal character on evidence, and I wrote a very long 650-page book on it's called Select Legal Topics. And then I wrote a second book, Select Legal Topics, Volume 2. Then I wrote a couple of philosophical, political, religious books, Essays of the Christian Worldview, and Essays of Faith, Politics, and Culture and Philosophy. So I've done my share. I guess you might say I've done my share of writing.
It sounds like you're well written, at least, you know?
Right.
I don't know.
As many people. You go to a library, there's plenty of books. There's plenty of people doing this. So.
All right. So look. I don't know, and I doubt that you heard the first part of the show. I was talking about health care and health insurance and all of that. I was just curious, how do you feel Congress and Trump are not getting along? I mean, we know that. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about them getting along. They're not getting along, and so I was curious how you feel about them not getting along.
I'm really not sure I could comment on it. I think certainly the Democratic Party is obviously not happy. I say this, I think it's an honest comment, I mean a fair comment. They have been shut out through most of the country in state houses, governorships, and now in the national government. So they are not happy. And they are ready to oppose the president, I think, in most respects.
Well, I think I think their job is to, and their platform right now is opposition to the president. I mean,
right.
They're trying to come out with all sorts of stuff today. I read in the paper that they're changing their slogans a little bit. They're trying to actually stand for something because people don't know what they stand for.
I'd like to comment. I believe the Democratic Party has got to change if they want to get elected. And at this point, you might say they are a little bit of trouble nationwide. I think their original mistake, I don't know if you're aware of it, but they had this thing about being with the elites. I don't know, I picked up on it a number of times. They felt they were better educated or more sophisticated, whatever. And in our society, thank God, we live in a democratic society. And those kind of statements are not going to make people happy, to vote for you.
Well, calling half the country idiots, basically.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're
I
saying, and also they're always saying, I don't know if you read the left media, they're always saying that the white working class was the people that voted for Trump. First of all, it's a secret ballot. How do they know who voted for him? I don't know what job they had. I don't know. It's a secret ballot. That's the second thing. And the second thing, another more to the point about this, they're implying and stating that the people who voted for Trump were kind of like not educated, sort of stupid or something, white working class. I mean, don't you think that's the implication?
I don't think it's an implication. I think they said it. They said that the Trump people are a basket of deplorables and irredeemables.
And also they say that, first of all, what's wrong with being working class? I am a lawyer. As you know, I mentioned I've written books. I consider myself working class to the extent that I work. I mean, I find no issue with people who are working class. I don't think a person who has a high school education or does manual labor is therefore stupid because they're doing that work. I don't think so.
Me neither.
Right?
But no, obviously, the thing with working class to me is that the left doesn't really care about any of that stuff. They would just as soon collect as much money as they can, however they can, and go ahead and spend it however they want to, and you become a very secondary kind of cog in the wheel. The people of the United States are not important to the Democrats or the Republicans at this point. From what I can see,
that was the mistake they made. They discounted the population.
Okay. Now I want to pick your legal brains here because
okay, right.
I'm curious myself into how is it that the Supreme Court now basically has said that Trump's travel ban is okay, yet there are still federal magistrates that are trying to inhibit that law from coming into effect.
Well, the thing is, can I comment on the travel ban? First of all, the president has a right under the law to fix the parameters of immigration that come into the country. That was really the basis of the Supreme Court's decision. He's within his rights to do that. The second thing is that, I mean, I'll tell you, Michael, the fact of the matter is that for some years now, they say that he is biased. One of the arguments against the ban, which the left is always saying, that he's prejudiced against this religious group. But the fact of the matter is, this group, within their societies, the reason he's doing this in this travel ban, within their societies, in their political religious system, there are a certain number of people that act violently. It's on record. There have been 6 or 7 internal attacks in the United States, Orlando, California, New York, Ohio, Minnesota. I mean, I'm not imagining this. Am I?
Well, as the devil's advocate would say, is that all those Muslims, it's a religion of peace and prosperity.
Obviously, that is not the fact.
That's
okay?
it.
I have nothing personally against Muslim people. Let me put it that way, as an individual. I have a Muslim employee. He's fantastic. I like him. But the fact of the matter is, it is quite clear that within their religious political system, there's a certain minority of people that put this into action.
Yeah, I mean, the government, the left asks you to believe things you don't see with your eyes. This is not Muslims.
I mean, for example, this is not. They attacked. They have targeted. I think they target mainly Christians and Jewish people. They have been bombing the state of Israel for 50 years. I'm not imagining this. They attacked Christian Coptic churches in Egypt, killing many worshippers. There were attacks in Europe, in Paris, Nice, Belgium, Manchester.
But Andrew, if we can
London,
get these guys in here illegally, that's a fantastic voting bloc. And so the people of the United States really don't matter.
Well, that's really. I mean, also the federal judges are. I think. Look, they're judges. I respect them. They have the right to make decisions, but they certainly may oppose the president on political basis. That they're Obama appointees, I don't know.
Now,
but also they affect this left ideology that he's biased and prejudiced, to deal with attacks that are occurring through these countries, people who come here, if they're just allowed in, they're going to happen more. The president wants to have time to vet it, to find a solution, to find a solution to this problem, and that solution includes this ban.
Are you comfortable at this point in time of being just called a racist? Because if you disagree with the left, you're a racist.
That is a leftist ideology code word to cover the facts that within these societies, unfortunately, for some reason or another, and individuals, I don't dislike them, I don't have feelings against them, but it is a fact that within those societies there are religious and political elements that put this violent action into action.
I'm curious, it's funny, with Muslims, I've kind of, and this is all going to sound very racist, I don't really give a crap, okay?
It's not racist. That's a cover word to cover the facts.
No, well, what I'm saying, some people will misconstrue as that, and I've found that basically there's almost three types, if you will, and I hate to categorize, but I'm gonna. There are the uber religious Muslims, okay,
right.
And those are the ones that a certain percentage of them, and depending on the study you read, it can be from 12 to 25% of them believe in Sharia law and believe that the infidels must die.
Well, that's the story of this. Yes, it is this. It is in the Quran. I read it myself. You're supposed to kill the infidels.
Okay, so there's a group that believes that. And that's disturbing enough. Now you have another group that is also religious, but they're not fanatics. They're not fanatically religious. They're just religious. And in that group, they may not necessarily be interested in chopping people's heads off unless they're Jews. Now, these are the ones that they just have Jew hatred more than anything else. And then
no question, they are virulently anti-Semitic. I don't think there's any question about it.
No, not at all. I mean, someone will make excuses for them, but that's all they are, excuses. And then you have your third class, if you will, and those are the secular Muslims. Those are the people that happen to be born Muslim, and that's the faith that they have. They're not practicing it. They don't go to the mosque. They're just Muslims.
They may not think that much about the whole thing.
Yeah, they don't think that much, and they're fine. They're fine with everything. A lot of them actually, they say that if the other Muslims came to town, they might actually kill them because they don't participate in the religion anymore, you know? So that's kind of how I have like the Muslim thing kind of quadranted
I think you're right.
My head.
But also, I asked you this question, Michael. I like to ask the listeners this question. Why, if Muslims feel their faith, and they're entitled to their religious beliefs, I mean, I'm sure there's many elements of it I don't know that are very, very valid and good, but why do they come to Christian countries? If their society, if they feel that faith is so great and so compelling, why do they want to leave?
Well, some of them are getting shot to death, and the other ones just want to live off the dole or cause grief here, and because they feel that that's their way out, is to be a martyr. You know,
to be a woman in Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, you're out of luck.
Yeah, because it's not that great to live there. You know,
those places are oppressive, and they're terrible places. Their systems, although they don't want to concede it or not, their systems in those societies are harsher.
You know, I want to get to something that we started. We kind of like went off on a tangent a little bit, but the Supreme Court. What do you think is going to happen in October? I don't even get all that. Maybe you can explain it. I don't understand why they just didn't say this is the law and that's okay.
I can't predict it, but I think they're going to affirm. I think they have kind of conceded a little to the left in these grandparents things and whatever, you know. But basically, they well know, number one, that the president is within his legal rights to do this, to have to control immigration, number one. They know that. And number two, they realize that the ban is appropriate. And I think they will largely uphold it.
So you feel that the reason that they waited is because of that one clause in this where basically, and he's right, Trump, and we know that from just looking at Israel, that these people don't act as an island by themselves. You know, the parents do know, the wife knows, sometimes the grandparents know. I mean, in Israel, they just bulldoze the house down, you know?
And yes, no question about it. Israel has a difference. Israel can't indulge in political correctness. they know better than you or me what this situation entails.
So you feel they
They're
know
not politically
they know the
correct.
deal.
They know the deal, of course.
They know the deal. How do you think, and this is a tough question because you're usually dealing with media. Maybe in New York it's different than out here, but I find that most of the Trump supporters are very, very unscathed by all of this Russia nonsense. It's a joke.
I don't think it has. I think it's, I don't know much about it, but I think it's just politics.
All that is politics. So this guy Mueller, who's like running the witch hunt, does not the president have the authority to give him guidance? Can't he tell him, look, you have until this time to find something. If you can't, then we're done. It must pertain to, aren't there guidelines that could be given to this yutz? Because he's making his own little democratic bureaucracy there. We have the
Right.
Democratic Republic of Mueller now, hiring whoever the hell he wants, and it gets crazy.
Right.
Can't he turn it down and just shut it down?
I think so.
What do you think the political ramifications of something like that would be?
It's hard to say because I don't.
Guess. Go
I
ahead.
don't know that much about it.
Okay.
I haven't been following it that carefully. I'll be honest with you.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. So tell us.
Can I just go into a few things that
Yeah,
on
sure.
the
Go
left,
ahead.
left ideology where they, for example, of course, the usual thing about when he with this band that is racist and it's anti-religious hatred. Of course, the people who say that are not facing the facts as to the reason for the ban. But let me just say a few things. For example, sometimes the left will take two issues and regard them as not progressive. They use that term progressive. I'm sure you heard it.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is on the anti-abortion issue. Now, to me, it is not backward to put a value on a person from the beginning of their life to the end. I don't happen to think that's backward. I think it's advanced. We are saying people who are against abortion, and you may not be, I don't know, whatever, I would respect your position, but my position is I'm against it because I think that people have value whatever their stage of life. Okay?
That's good. That's your opinion. My opinion differs a little bit. I think that women have the right. I think women have the right to do what they want to do with their own bodies.
You do.
I do. However, there comes a point where things now don't make sense to have the abortion, and that's because of my medical side. You see, I've seen surgical abortions. It's not. How can I describe it? It's all right. Let's put this clamp in. Oh, look, it looks like an arm. Oh no, that's not an arm. Maybe it's his left side of his face. Oh, look, a nose. It is such a horrific thing. You are actually picking apart a human being from someone else. Now, this happens in and around, I don't remember how many weeks, but at some point in time, you must, if you're going to have an abortion, it needs to be done surgically. Once you get to the point where you need surgical abortions, I think that should not be allowed. Unless it's maybe the health of the child or something else.
I don't think that you can make abortion anti-abortion a law. I mean, I think yes. I think ultimately the woman would have the right to do it.
It's funny to me because I always felt there's certain political subjects, like abortion is one of them, that basically politics is never going to handle. They have no business to handle it, and they shouldn't be in it. It's just a lose-lose for everybody and anyone when they talk about it politically. I'm old enough to remember when there were...
It's a moral issue. Depending on your thinking, it could be a moral issue.
But I remember when there was no Roe versus Wade, and if you wanted an abortion, you went to Canada if you had money, and if not, you went into the alley, or you went to some doctor who opened up on Sunday for you.
Doctor who would do it, and you pay him $75, right?
Yeah. So it's why is the government involved with it? Just forget it. People are going to do what they want to do. Yeah, your opinion is meaningless, and your laws are stupid and meaningless when it comes to that kind of thing. My opinion, at least, but that's pretty much it.
Listen, I'm always a guy. Listen, Michael, if a person has an opinion that differs from mine, that's fine. I listen to it, and I weigh it, and I consider it.
Well, that's because you're not a leftist. Otherwise, it would
I guess
just,
so.
if someone had a differing opinion than you, then they would just be hateful bigots,
Right.
And
Just one second. I mean,
that
for
would be-
example, let me give you an example of this so-called elitism, which the Democratic Party has embraced, this globalism. Well, I think they have. They're going to have to get rid of it. I can tell you that. If they want to get elected, they're going to have to change their tune. But to the people of this country, nobody wants to be called that they're not elite enough, they're not smart enough, they're not whatever they want to say about them. But also, and when they say that like all the people that voted for Trump were like white working class, my sister is a college professor with 2 PhDs, and she voted for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
I voted for Trump. I'm a lawyer. Not just high school graduates voted for Trump. Hold on 1 second, okay?
Yeah. I don't know. Toilet break? Could be.
Also, one of the tags the left adopts is that the president opposes refugees and immigration. He does not oppose immigration. The most he has said that people who are, there's a question mark when a person is illegally here as an immigrant, and particularly if they have a criminal conviction. I think that's really what he focused on. That's what he's concerned about. He is not anti-immigrant. He is anti-people with convictions who are illegally here.
You see, I have a funnier.
That's all he said.
I have a much more reactionary view of all of that. I guess it's good I'm not the president. I think for a country that's $10 trillion in debt, and again, trillion, people throw out numbers. Andrew, a trillion seconds ago, I figured it out mathematically, is about over 30,000 years ago. So a trillion is a huge amount. My feeling is if we are in debt to $10 trillion, $20 trillion, then we can't afford to have anyone come into this country. And I would close immigration for everybody unless there was a specific need or a reason why they had to come in. Because right now we can't afford you. We're broke.
Right. Well, do you believe that? I mean, they also, the left says, you're against refugees. You're evil. You're bad. You're inhumane. He is not against refugees. He is against people coming to this country who have not been vetted from those areas I just mentioned. That's all he's concerned with. He is not anti-immigrant. He's anti-illegal immigrant. That's the most thing I can say. Right?
I agree with you. He's certainly not anti
refugee or immigrant.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the refugees floating in here like there was in Germany. There was an attack in Berlin. When they brought in, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you can't just let people in without vetting them from these areas. They have a track record.
They do, and not only that, they come from a culture that's very, very different. You see, the left wants you to believe also, Andrew, I think, that all cultures are wonderful, and they're all the same and equal. And that's nonsense. It's baloney.
It is a political statement.
It
is a political statement.
There's the Mariel boat lift that happened down here in Miami. During Carter, and I'm sure that Castro emptied out some of his prisons as well. But the murder rate the next year went up like 200%. That's because you had people from countries coming in where life is not that meaningful for them.
Right. Just 1 second. Can I be with you a minute? I just want to check something, okay?
Sure.
Hold on.
All right, I'll be there. Anyway, I'm getting some comments here on Facebook. I like that. Oh, wow. Here we are. There's all sorts of stuff. Look at that. Okay. All right, now I know how to get that feed up there. I don't know what I did to get it, but I'll be able to use it in the future. Now, maybe I'll be able to do the same thing. Coming in fine in Texas, loud and clear in South Carolina. All right, we're all over the place.
I have a newspaper here. It says that the decision by the Supreme Court ignores the anti-Muslim bigotry that is at the heart of the travel ban executive orders. I mean, that is such nonsense. That ban is a pragmatic response to people who have been a large number of people that have been American citizens that have been attacked and killed. There's nothing anti-Muslim about it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's all rhetoric. Just, again, leftist
It is
rhetoric.
But they constantly say it.
Well,
and you know who believe it? I think who believe it? There's one group that definitely goes along with this, college students.
I think the entire Democratic Party. And I can tell you how I've defined that recently, too, because all of my views on a lot of these things really have changed dramatically in the last 6 months. I think that there's four facets to the Democratic Party now, okay? There's the media, which actually controls absolutely everything. I don't think that any of the people in Congress that are Democrats have a mind of their own. They just go ahead and they follow the talking points that are spewed out by media. So the media is the Democratic Party. It's not a news service.
They have allied with them. Yes, they have connected with them.
You know, so they're not news services anymore. They are political arms of the Democratic Party. So that's the media. The second of the group I mentioned already, and those are all the guys that are in Congress and they're in the Senate and the House and all those folks that are actually Democrats working within the party. The next group that you have is the university systems. Okay,
because yes, they are allied with that ideology, correct? With
and
that
then
group.
The last group for me is the indigent because they want the dole, you know, and so those are your Democrats right now. And thank God they don't really make up the majority of people in the United States. That's why there's been four.
And by the way, you're right.
You know, have those four elections.
You know that they say Trump's numbers are low, that he's unpopular. Yet in the last two special congressional elections, the Republicans, despite massive inputs of money from the Democratic Party in Georgia, they lost. Yeah. So obviously, Trump is well liked. Probably by majority of the population.
Oh, I agree with that too. But, you know, they come up with all sorts of nonsense. There was a poll came out last week that 1 in 8 people who voted for Trump now feel that they're sorry that they did that. You know, I mean, you could probably say that for any candidate that's ever been elected. I mean, it's like buyer's remorse. There's always going to be a certain percentage.
Yeah, well, how do the Democrats, if they maintain this position, he's so unpopular, how do they explain the fact they continue to lose?
Russia,
correct?
Men, anything other than taking responsibility, which is exactly the leftist kind of a thing. No responsibility for anything. That's one of the signs of a bad leader, by the way. A leader's supposed to take responsibility. Like the buck stops here. Remember that Democrat?
Right.
He'd be thrown out of office now, Truman.
By the way, also, this sanctuary cities thing, I'll tell you what's going on with that. First of all, keeping illegal immigrants here is a boon of cheap labor for certain industries, restaurants, bars, whatever. This cheap labor. They do very well with this cheap illegal immigrant labor. They don't have to hire people at a regular wage.
Sure,
they hire these people.
Sure, that's I'm becoming so discouraged with the Republican side of things. I think that's really how they want it to be. You know, I don't think the Republicans want to do anything.
Don't you think they want them as voters? The Democrats, you bring in illegal people.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were voting in California, my understanding is.
Yeah, I know there are states that are trying to pass that now as we speak. On what frickin' planet does that make sense? Let's have people that are not from the United States vote for the elected officials.
It's absurd.
Where? You know?
They passed a law recently in Congress called Katie's Law. One of these illegal immigrants who had several convictions and been deported came back and killed somebody.
Sure, Katie's Law. I'm glad that went through. You know, those things are not really published too much because they have nothing to do with Russia collusion. So the media has no reason to put it on there because it doesn't fit the narrative. You know, also ceasefires in Syria don't fit the narrative. There are all sorts of positive things that have happened that you just don't know about because they don't fit the narrative, and the media has no intentions of doing anything other than pushing their narrative.
Also, half the time the media doesn't even report violent attacks. I know there was one in Australia. They barely reported. There was a attack in Paris. They barely reported it. A lot they cover, and also. In the attacks in London and Manchester, and when Theresa May ran into trouble, they said the left media said nothing, that the cause of her trouble was those attacks. They said nothing. I noticed it.
Yeah, well, that's because if it doesn't fit into the narrative, then no one wants to deal with it.
Right.
You know. Also, there was this guy, the Somalian cop, that was in the news. I'm trying to find the article here. I know I got it somewhere.
Well, what was that?
There's a guy who's pretty well known in the community. He's one of the few people that actually went through these programs and is a police officer. I think it's up, I don't remember where. I think it's up in Detroit, but I don't remember the city. Please don't quote me on it. And what happened was some woman called, said she thinks that there's some robbery or something going on outside. So some blonde woman walked out of her house to the patrol car in her pajamas, like wearing like a nightgown. And when she got near the door, this guy shot her twice through the door and killed her.
Really? Oh, it was because he objected to her appearance.
I don't know. I don't know why. I don't think it was because. I don't think that certainly that wouldn't be the reason that they would state. He'd probably make up something with a weapon. I thought she had a knife. Or I'm sure that's what it'll be.
See.
But the guy has been sued before. He's been an officer for 2 years. He's been sued before, and he's been reprimanded about 4 times. Okay. And so, what does the media say about all this? Well, he's a credit to the Somalian community, and everyone really looks up to him. And maybe this guy shouldn't be a cop because his ethic is not there. His mindset is still in Sharia law somewhere. I'm thrilled that he tried to pick himself up, but you can't do that at the expense of other human beings. Certainly, you would never hear the end of this in the media if it was reversed. If it was a white cop that killed a black woman in her nightgown outside with nothing going on, just right through the door, no threats, no nothing, you better believe that story would be run for the next month. But because it's not the right race, then we forget it.
Because you're a smart guy. Remember, there was a women's march in Washington. Why is it the feminists? Why in these marches they never mention the condition and terrorizing of Muslim women in these countries?
Yeah, they don't.
They never say a word.
They won't say a word because, again, and that does not fit their narrative of what they want to purport. The feminist movement or anti-male movement, maybe a more accurate way of putting it, to me is kind of dead issue. I don't. There are a lot of things that people are concerned with today that I think are things from the past, and I think that I get to be of the opinion this is how it is, and we got to move on from where we are and not make believe we're going to all of a sudden live in some utopian fantasy.
Just 1 second. I just got text on. I have to. My office is somebody's here. Just 1 second, okay?
All right, there we go. We're taking another little break here, but that's okay. That's okay. What can I tell you, folks? I mean. Republicans got to get their asses off the chairs and start to do stuff, or we're going to just be in a bad place. Bud.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No problem.
So continue. Enlighten
I don't remember. Where were we at?
I don't remember.
You don't remember either. Well, do you think then? Do you think that Congress is actually going to do something that's going to be appropriate for this president? Or are they just going to stall and kick it down and have problems and not work and just let this presidency fail?
Well, first of all, anytime President Trump moves an inch in any direction, they're on him. Okay?
Sure.
That's part of it. He can't breathe he can't make a breath without being attacked. The second thing is that there are elements within the Republican Party that oppose him. The reason they oppose him, they're connected with this global elite group. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. And he is not precisely within that group.
No, not at all.
No?
Not at all.
He isn't.
No, he's an American. He's not a globalist.
He's American, and they say he's a nationalist. I don't know what they mean by that. I mean, to me, it means that he's representing the people of the country. He's not representing global economic behemoth corporations. Okay. Neither am I.
Yeah. No, I agree with that completely. Let's face it, there are a bunch of people with a lot of money that would just love to take all the power out of the United States and disperse that in wherever the heck they live. All the globalists are like that. I don't see government as ever really being able to do anything good. So global government to me would be even more crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Well, they had up to this point established a kind of dictatorial power within our society. Trump managed to unravel it to some extent.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that that at least people will become aware of all this. But in terms of the political cartel, yeah, I don't even look at things as Democrat and Republican anymore. I look at them as the people of the United States and the political cartel.
That's right.
That's it. That's what there is. And let's face it, the cartel, the tea drinking, pinky in the air, I'm an elitist, I've been doing this. He's a vulgarian. He doesn't speak well enough to be the president.
Yes, I've heard him say that. Yes. That he's crude, he's classless. You heard that, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I don't really care about it as long as you get the job done. I don't really care how crude and classist.
First of all, it's part of this thing that these so-called elite, they think they are elite. Obviously, they're mistaken.
No, but they are in their own little club, and it's a very wealthy club. And if you're not in the club, they don't want you to be successful. So it matters not whether you're Republican or Democrat.
He's crude and uneducated and whatever they want to say. Again, it's a subliminal message of saying they feel they are high class. They feel they are superior and sophisticated and well educated. That's really what they're saying.
Absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what was the last book that you wrote? You want to push that a little bit?
Yeah, the last book is The Parables in the Bible. It's coming out in late August. I hope that people will listen. I respect all people's perspectives. I really do. I mean, because I can always learn something. Sure. I don't consider myself elite. I don't think I am particularly. I mean, I am ready to learn and absorb from other people other points of view. Why not?
That's fine. Being open-minded is always good.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you got to be really mindless to think that you are elite because you have some education or something or money. These are all you're really fooling yourself.
Well, these people are probably very well fooled then, the best I can do it, because they certainly feel that they are the elite. They know that they are the elite.
Yeah, they do. Actually do. What is the basis of it? Money?
It's all money. It's just all money, power, and glory. Truman, I like Truman. He has some really good quotes. He said once, it would be amazing what can get done in Washington if no one is concerned about getting the credit.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if many people are quite aware of this kind of thinking that these people engage in. They really look down on people.
Well, anyone who's listened to me or certainly knows that, because that's been my opinion. I mean, that's as clear as a bell to me. There is absolutely no question that they are the elite. They don't want this new boy. Can you imagine the elite? They've been in power forever. And now you get some newbie who comes in, knows nothing, and actually gets things done better? My God, that can't happen. He's not a member of the club.
Another thing. Why would a person think that, as I said to you, because they do a different kind of work or don't have some kind of degree, they are therefore to be viewed with contempt and seen as stupid or something? I meet many people as a lawyer, Michael. I meet all kinds of people, and I don't find people who do certain occupations or bus driver or whatever. I don't find them stupid.
No, they aren't stupid at all necessarily. Not by profession. I mean, there are people. There are a lot of unemployed PhDs.
They have a certain job. Therefore, that job makes them less of a person than they should be. One thing I have here, an opinion from the Wall Street Journal. It says that they say that, as you pointed out, that the left controls the academic and the media, the academic group, which is what these persons says here.
No question to me about that either. I mean, I don't know who did the study. I think
there's a very terrible statement here in an opinion column of the Wall Street Journal, in which he says that, again, this use of the term elite, he says that
this is from the Journal?
Yeah, they use that term elite. They say that Well, that's what they're saying here, that they're always using that term.
I first kind of got exposed to that through Jesse Ventura when he was governor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after he was governor, he said something that was very, very interesting. He said that the Democrats and the Republicans like to make a big show in front of the cameras. But when the cameras get turned off, they go out to the bar and they bask in their wealth and glory.
Well, so what do you think is going to happen? Was your opinion? You're obviously a guy who's really on tap with most of this ideological thinking that we've been pushed on us. Do you think that the Democrats are going to get the message?
I think that the Democrats eventually will get the message. I'm not sure if it'll be after 2 years or 3 years or 4 years of Trump. That I couldn't tell you exactly when. But you got to remember, this is the party of lying, of the lies. Truth makes no difference. So the last couple of things, actually the last few days, they're trying to come up with a platform, the Democrats, that might be palatable. I mean, what the hell do they have? We're going to let every goon in the world come into your country, and we're going to raise your taxes. I mean, that's the policy, and you can have an abortion even if it's like a week due. I mean, that's the policy for the Democrats? So what it looks like they're doing now is they're becoming a little bit like Trump, because hey, they kind of piss in the wind and see where the pea flies, and that's where they go. They say, well, Trump, he won. Why don't we become sort of populist a little bit? We're Democrats. It's not like we actually have to do any of that. We can just lie to your face, and you can keep your doctor and your plan. So
the thing is, the Democrats used to represent union labor, and they represented the labor working class, and they dumped them.
Yeah.
They got rid of them. They decided that we got to go with the elites, or whatever they want to do, you know. But they must face up to the fact this is not working for them.
Yeah, that it is not working for them. I think that eventually they'll realize that maybe they have to push the Russia thing a little bit more, because they've made their lunatic base like psychotic about it, and so they can't really just let that completely go at this point. I think they just have to. You know, they're in sad shape. But you know what? I don't really care about them.
Go ahead.
I really don't care. I really don't care about the Democrats too much. They can go ahead and get their own act together. If they come up with something good, they start to become a real party or actually represent the United States or seem to even have a minimal amount of love and respect for this country.
Yeah, right.
Then, you know, maybe they can get real.
I have the feeling they despise the people of this country. I get that feeling.
Oh, it's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, the apology tour, Obama. We're so sorry for being the United States. We never got anything that we legally. We've always taken from people. We don't deserve this. We need to be punished. I mean, at least with Trump, you got someone who actually likes the United States. Shocking, isn't it?
Look, he was elected. He was elected because one of the reasons was the Muslim issue. That's one of the reasons he was elected. The other one is that he recognized the fact that American workers are not getting work.
Yeah, and
they're not getting jobs.
And look what he's done. He's done, just for the, and I hate to say it, it sounds stupid, but just because of the fact that he is Trump and he's in that office, you see changes now in the economy. The economy's doing a little bit better. Job reports are getting to be a little bit better. So there has been improvement. You have immigration, just because he was there, has gone down quite a bit. Immigration issues, all those problems.
What do you think of the wall?
I personally, I don't think we need to have a wall. I think we need to have. I think we could be a little bit more sophisticated and modern nowadays. I don't know what we can do electronically. I don't know that we physically need to have a wall. We could have electric fences. We can have surveillances. We can have dogs. There's all sorts of other stuff that you need to do. And I'm sure that they can do kind of like a study and figure out where in this border are the most porous parts, and those are the parts you start with, and you cut out major amount of illegal immigration into the country that way. I don't know that you necessarily need to physically build such a gigantic wall. Maybe you do. I mean, it worked really well, in Israel. They built a wall and they cut out a lot of the issues that they had until recently.
By the way, just recently, the left covers up these things constantly. Sure. 2 Israeli security guards were murdered on the Temple Mount. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, so, what are they going to say? The left say they cover it. Usually they cover these things 99% of the time. They don't report it.
But the funny thing is they may report it 99% of the time, but Someone looked at CNN recently, and 93% of all of the time on CNN is spent on Russia, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia, Trump. That's all it is, 93%. And yeah, then they do mention a whole bunch of other things, but it's like the New York Times, talking about how Trump colluded with the Russians, and then in the on the third page, in the fourth paragraph, there's a line that says, "But there's absolutely no evidence at all that any of this is actually happening." So yeah, they do report.
Remember about Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London?
Sadiq Khan, yes.
Yeah, I got a hold of a newspaper, and there was a column by an Israeli Defense Force individual. He reported really what that guy is into. He's into honor killings. He's into Sharia law. He's terrible anti-Semitic. People didn't know this.
Well, Allah Akbar.
I picked up on it on his newspaper.
Yeah, well, I don't know much about him personally. I know that he's the exact leftist kind of ideology that's moronic to me when you deal with people that are causing problems. If you're dealing with people that are what's the first thing they do? Some Muslim does something, they go, well, let's not get onto the cases of the Muslims. We don't want to do that. We don't want to infuriate them. If we infuriate them, it can make things worse for them. Do we do that with any other race or religion?
Listen,
are we concerned that the Chinese people in the United States are going to revolt against us if we go ahead and go to crack down on an Asian gang? Are we concerned with that? This is just nonsense.
Can I ask you a question, Michael?
Sure.
I think it's a pertinent question. Yes, they say that all religions are the same, all cultures are the same. Why is it the Hindus aren't going out of their temples and acting violently and killing people? Why aren't the Buddhists? They're okay. You might say that these are the only people doing it.
Well, terrorism, as you mentioned earlier, is like part and parcel with the Quran. So none of this is. I remember 30 years ago saying the only imports you get from the Middle East is oil, Persian rugs, and terrorists. That's it. That's all that they do.
Well, the fact of the matter is that they're not all the same because this religion is the only one engaging in this at this point in time.
Sure. When the Jews start to lop off everyone else's heads, I'd be against them as well.
Exactly. Or the Buddhists or anybody.
Yeah.
They're not doing it.
No question at all. So look, we're coming to the end of the segment. Been yakking with you over 45 minutes or so. If people want to go ahead and get one of your books, so why don't you talk about the last book that you wrote and how people can get in touch with you?
Okay, my most recent book was essays on faith culture, politics, and faith culture and politics. It presents many points of views. Political points of view. I think that someone who reads it will like it. They may not agree with it, but that's okay.
Sure. Where would they get it?
Agree with it.
Where do they get the book?
They can get it. It's published by University Press of America.
Awesome.
And the book, I think they'll like it if they take a look at it.
Wonderful. So look, thank you for joining us so much this evening. I do appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed your insightful perspective on these things.
So much.
You're one of the few people that have moved into what is really going on in this country. And frankly, if Trump weren't elected, I don't know what would have happened.
I fear that possibility. If Clinton, the idea is to completely and totally transform the United States into basically a third world nation.
Also, just one more comment. These people, these globalists, they're anti-democratic in their thinking.
Sure.
They make it clear that the electorate is ignorant and stupid and lacking. That's to me, it's a significantly anti-democratic statement.
No question about it. No question at all. So again,
okay, Michael, it was good.
Yeah, I want to thank you again. Maybe we'll do it again in the future.
Great, bye.
All right, take care now. All right, folks. Well, that was Andrew Andrew Shatkin, attorney from New York. We're going to be right back. I've been just yakking my face off here. Let's see how I do this and if I could do that, and we should be pretty good now. Anyway, you're listening to The Michael Blum Show. We'll be back in a little bit.
Hi. At The Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, Michael, at blumradio, BLUM radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air.
Most people put off dental work until the last possible moment. You know, long work days, daily commitments, and even costs can be challenging to your dental health. 20 years ago, the Center for the Dental Arts was created as a dental practice that would be different from most. A place that has office hours until 8 p.m. to accommodate the busiest schedules. The staff of the Center for Dental Arts is naturally caring to ensure your comfort, treating you like family, while your smile is at the center of their attention. The Center for the Dental Arts features general, cosmetic, and implant dentistry, all in one convenient downtown Fort Lauderdale location. Especially in these times, the Center for the Dental Arts is finding ways to make sure you smile with the best quality work at a price you can afford. Call 954-463-4999 and ask for the new patient special. Call the Center for Dental Arts today and see for yourself how they've been making people smile for over 20 years. Call 954-463-4999. That's 954-463-4999 at the Center for Dental Arts. Most people put off dental work until the last possible moment. You know, long work days, daily commitments, and even costs can be challenging to your dental health. 20 years ago, the Center for the Dental Arts was created as a dental practice that would be different from most. A place that has office hours until 8 p.m. to accommodate the busiest schedules. The staff of the Center for Dental Arts is naturally caring to ensure your comfort, treating you like family, while your smile is at the center of their attention. The Center for the Dental Arts features general, cosmetic, and implant dentistry, all in one convenient downtown Fort Lauderdale location. Especially in these times, the Center for the Dental Arts is finding ways to make sure you smile with the best quality work at a price you can afford. Call 954-463-4999 and ask for the new patient special. Call the Center for Dental Arts today and see for yourself how they've been making people smile for over 20 years. Call 954-463-4999. That's 954-463-4999 at the Center for Dental Arts.
Hi, this is Michael Blum. Did you know the Michael Blum Show can be heard every Monday night from 9 to 11 p.m.? We also broadcast 24/7 from our website, michaelblumshow.com. That's michaelblumshow.com. You can be anonymous, so call us and let your voice be heard. Hi, this is Michael Blum. Join me on Mondays from 9 to 11 p.m. for the Michael Blum Show, where we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex, substance abuse, spirituality, and politics. Think, speak, and be heard. Join us on the Michael Blum Show. Hi, this is Michael Blum. If you would like to be part of the Michael Blum Show and be a sponsor, call us at 800-524-8040 or email me at michael@michaelblumshow.com. We could have been listening to your commercial for your business rather than this stuff. Call us at 800-524-8040. Hi. At the Michael Blum Show, we talk about the things you don't want to talk about. If in your own personal life you have an experience or an event or something that's changed you, we'd love to hear about it and maybe get your story on air. Feel free to give us a call, 800-699-0980. Again, that's at 800-699-0980. Or feel free to email me at michael@blumradio.com. That's Michael, Michael, at blumradio, BLUM radio.com. And we will get in touch with you and put your story on the air.
Welcome back, everybody. This is our final segment. Some interesting stuff I just wanted to go over before we go off air. I found this to be quite interesting. Let me just go ahead, and I need to get something else set up. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Here we go. Okay, anyway, Dennis Prager. I got this. This is from a place called Town Hall. It's one of the news services I use all the time. Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla look, and they're making a new movie. So they're actually kind of pushing the movie a little bit. But it's kind of funny. It's basically what they're saying is that the goals of education, of higher education particularly, used to be to go through a wide range of ideas and to critically analyze theories, philosophies, and debate them with other people. And both Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla are saying that basically those days have passed. That ship has sailed, and that is not the function of higher education anymore. Instead, that they have to become safe spaces, okay, for these students. And people, if they speak and they're too controversial, then they can't speak on campus, you know, especially if it's on a place that birthed free speech movement. Then they certainly can't anymore do it there at Berkeley, I'm talking about. But I think these guys try to get to the bottom of it, okay? And there's so much nonsense that they decided they needed to make a documentary. So they're putting one together called No Safe Spaces. And they're fundraising for it right now. So I guess they don't want to do it on their money. They want to do it on someone else's. So if you have an interest in that, again, it would be Dennis Prager and Adam Carolla that are doing this. So college now basically it really does threaten to ruin this country by creating a nation of precocious little snowflakes who melt when they encounter an idea that they disagree with. Be very, very nasty. Very, very nasty. And in December, actually, of 2016, a scheduled appearance at California State University in Northridge was canceled at the last minute because of logistic problems, which is nonsense. That's code word for we don't want to hear what you have to say, so we're barring free speech from our university. And it seems that these guys have to be pushed, like anyone else here, I guess, to go ahead and do the right thing nowadays with lawsuits. So basically, that's what's going on with a lot of the universities. On campus, basically, disagreement with someone equals a horrible offense. And when students graduate into the real world, however, what do you think that will lead to? I have a small clip here I'd like to play for you, and you can hear what these folks think it might lead to.
Your status in America today is based on how much of a victim you are. So if you feel offended, you are immediately taken seriously. I remember this was a very powerful moment. I began lecturing at 21. I have a very bizarre, we have truly, as you point out, opposite lives. And we've ended up in the same exact spot, which is very touching. But I gave my first lecture.
I think I'm a little above you, but.
No. All right, that's fair. No, that's fair. I didn't want to say it because it would go to your head.
It's almost mathematically impossible being exactly the same spot.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right.
I'm sorry, but continue.
Anyway, I was about 27 years old, and I'm at a synagogue in New Jersey, and I gave my opinions, and then a woman gets up. The woman said, "I'm offended by what you said." And I was naive. And I said, "What did I say that offended you?" So then she said where she differed from me. And I said, "So you don't agree with me. Why are you offended, though?" And that's become synonymous. Disagree now means offended.
Right.
Because you have victim status. So argument is not necessary. You are offended is enough for the college to bend to your will. This is the state that we are in, and then you get Play-Doh and stuffed animals in a safe room.
So I always try to look for sort of the path to this, and I agree, the bigger the victim, the more status you have, certainly on campus. Now, sadly, what happens when you get off campus is you still try to take this currency and nobody gives a shit. They appear to be sympathetic, they appear to listen, and they appear to care, but really all they think is, I don't want to hire this pussy.
Well, and there you have it, folks. I think that my sentiment is in there absolutely and completely. So I agree with all of that stuff. I, I really do. I really, really do. So anyway, folks, I hope that the stream came out very clear for everyone today. I hope that everything kind of worked out and everyone has heard what we were talking about. And I just want to thank everyone for listening. We'll do it again next week, same time, same place, same bat channel, all of that kind of good stuff, same everything. And we'll speak to you then on the Michael Blum Show. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been a pleasure here, and we will be talking to you very, very soon. I just want to do one other thing here, like that. Take care, everybody. Oh, by the way, everything in your life is possible to do, but fewer things are probable. But one thing's absolutely certain, and that's that you're alive. So go ahead out and enjoy yourself. And make sure that you live each day to its fullest, because tomorrow is not promised to anybody. Anyway, take care from the Michael Blum Show. We'll speak to you next time around.
Welcome to the Michael Blum Show, where we talk about things you don't want to talk about. We talk about sex. We talk about politics. We talk spirituality and substance abuse. Join us by calling 800-699-0980. Think, speak, and be heard. Here now is Michael Blum. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Michael Blum Show. I'm thinking of changing the name of the show. Folks, let me know what you think. How about, rather than the Michael Blum Show, which is rather austere and is really just my name and all that, how about if instead we do it and we call it, let's see, we'll call it Tuesday Night with Mikey. I'm ripping off a famous author. There was a really good play that I saw many years ago, Tuesday Night with Maury. But if I'm the only one out there in the world that gets the reference, I guess it's not really worth it to do. I've been looking this week at, and I was my wife's Facebook account was hacked this week, along with most of the other people she knows on the universe that use that ridiculous platform. I use social media to go ahead and do these broadcasts and all, but I'm not a big fan of Twitter. I think it's for twits, and that's how they came up with the name. And Facebook used to be, people don't realize it. I remember my daughter waiting for her .edu address for a school, because the only people who were on Facebook originally were kids and students. And now it's blown into this ridiculous thing that people use this social media stuff actually to go ahead and ruin people's lives sometimes. And the worst thing that's going on now is all of this hacking and cybersecurity issues that everyone is having, it seems. I had last week, I had to go ahead and give up a credit card because some people were trying to use it. And I feel I'm very, very careful with most of this stuff, so I don't really know what's going on. But in my search for information, we do have a guest who's going to be with us momentarily, who is actually a certified risk management specialist. So we're going to pick her brains about all sorts of stuff. But I found this video, and I thought it was just so disturbing. I wanted to play it because I like disturbing, comfortable people. So just check this out. Just check this out. It's quite amazing.
It's called spoofing. telemarketers calling from a number that looks a lot like yours, same area code and even the same first few digits, trying to get your personal information, promising free cruises and warranties. And now scammers are doing it too.
Criminals realize that you're more apt to answer your phone if they call from an area code that you're in. And even more crazy, they can actually make the call look like it's coming from somebody you already know.
They can actually mimic somebody's phone number now.
Absolutely. So, for example, I can call somebody and make it look like you're calling them.
You said you will be able to call my producer, Giovanna, who's actually just off camera right over there. Hi, Giovanna. You can call her from your phone,
yes,
posing as me.
Absolutely.
We aren't showing you how he does it, but seconds later.
There it is. It says Jeff Rossen work. It's your picture. This is literally what happens when you call me. I would see this and 100% think it was you.
That is crazy. And by the way, everybody, this is my phone.
Yeah.
We called from your phone, not mine.
Then he ramps it up, showing us what a real criminal would do, and calls my mom as me, again from his phone.
Hi, Jeff. Hey, Mom, real quick, I need your Social Security number and fill out some beneficiary forms. Can you help me out real quick?
What?
I've got this beneficiary form. I just need to fill it out. What's your Social Security number real fast? Great. Thanks a lot, Mom. Love you.
And now you have it.
That's it. I've got a Social Security number.
Think it can't happen to you? Even the chairman of the FCC has been spoofed.
What is the FCC doing now to stop this, to protect me?
A few different things. Number one, we are empowering phone companies to block robocalls that appear to be spoofed with no legitimate purpose. Number two, we are taking aggressive action against robocallers. And number three, we're working with the industry to develop more technological solutions.
In the meantime, experts say apps like Mr. Number and True Caller can help, alerting you to spoofed calls. But the best advice, never give personal information over the phone unless you made the call yourself.
That wasn't even from my phone. He was just posing as me.
You're kidding.
Because you never know who's on the other end. Jeff Rossen, NBC News, San Diego.
Hey, NBC News fan.
Wow. Well, isn't that interesting? That scared the crap out of me. And folks, by the way, we have a very, very beautiful person. If you're watching the stream right now on with us, I want to welcome Heather Wagenhals to the Michael Blum Show, or Tuesday Night with Mikey. I'll still play with that a little bit, and at least I'll be amused. You know, I have to be amused somehow, and sometimes I'm the only one it seems can do it. But anyway, Heather, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on Tuesdays with Mikey.
All right. Did you get the reference, or is it, you know?
Oh, yeah. With Lori. So I totally got it. Yeah.
All right. That's good. You know, I meant to do a little bit of paperwork beforehand. The paper, nothing's done until the paper is done. If you want to follow the stream, feel free to do so. You can do it a whole bunch of different ways. I post these things after the fact when they're kind of all cleaned up on Vimeo. I'm streaming right now on Facebook.com/Blum Show, BLUMSHOW. I know it's original. And I'm also on Twitter, which is at Michael Blum Show. I'm also on Periscope, which is PSCP.TV for Periscope.TV/guess. Michael Blum Show. So if you want to do that, you can do that. You can also hear the streams from my website, which is aptly called michaelblumshow.com, and you can pick up the streams there. There's a little tab on the top that says, listen now, and then you can pick a stream and listen to the show from there as well. Anyway, we do have Heather Wagenhals with us, and she is a certified theft risk management specialist, and we want to pick her brains a little bit because of all this crazy stuff that goes on. Here in Florida, Heather, we have some experience with lack of electricity due to hurricanes from time to time. And I imagine that's pretty similar to having a cyber attack and a serious threat, because everything stops pretty much.
We're experiencing that here over the last week and a half with the remnants of the hurricane storms, and we've been having flash flooding here in Arizona. So wow. There will be periods of time where we have no cation, no cell phone access, no landline access, internet non-existent. And sometimes you might even be stranded based on where the water is accumulating. I know that we're kind of in this little flood zone area here where I live, and I've been challenged trying to get in and out of the house myself.
My fear is that people really don't know how serious things like that are. I'll give you, for instance, not with Irma, but with Wilma. This is a couple of hurricanes ago, maybe a decade ago. Finally, after about 3 or 4 days, I was able to get cell tower came up, and I was able to make phone calls using a cell phone. So immediately, you call up your insurance company, you say, look, you like to file a claim and all this. And they say, oh, it's very easy. If you go down to a post office, no, wait. You don't, there is no post office. I can't get out of my neighborhood, okay? There are trees down. Well, if you could just go ahead and maybe just fax us. No, you don't seem to understand. There's no electricity here for me to go ahead and fax. And people just seem to be so intensely out of the loop. I mean, just ridiculously out of the loop that I really fear that things would really go awry and potentially violent after a while. We were lucky here in Florida because it happened to be very cool after that particular storm, and no one was really antsy about it. But maybe you can give us some insight. In the olden days, maybe I would have gone in the back and set a fire and took a blanket and done smoke signals, to try to go ahead and communicate. But obviously that's something I wouldn't do.
Does anybody even know Morse code, though? Would they be able to figure out what came through the smoke signal?
No, probably not. They'd probably go, maybe there's food going on. Let me see what's happening. I mean, at best.
The neighbor's having a barbecue. I'm
right.
hungry.
At best. Oh, look, he's has to get rid of his food, so he's cooking it up, and which is actually what we do, what we have done here.
Well, and there are lots of challenges to living in our technologically advanced world because we don't have anything available. We don't have our phone books anymore. We don't have pay records anymore. Everything is stored digitally. We have to have electricity to be able to operate many of these items. And so it creates a different world that we have to respond in versus the one that we were living in before the disaster. So what we have to do is take a few measured steps and really create a disaster preparedness plan for ourselves. So we have to think about the eventualities that may beset us. So what happens in a power outage? What happens if we're stranded? What happens if we can't communicate? We have to address all of these challenges individually and then be able to create a cohesive plan where they can overlap. And make sure that we've got every area covered. Because the first thing that we want to do is be able to communicate.
Sure. I don't know necessarily how you would do that, other than maybe if you, a priori, the storm or the cyber attack, if you went and you downloaded, let's say, all of your information from your banks so that you have a physical record. It's so weird. Things travel in cycles. I think at some point in time, the banks are going to say, here's your bank book. and for the folks out there that don't know what that is, there was a time when there was no fax, there was no computer, and everything was done with a little tiny passbook, and you went into the bank and they actually stamped it and told you how much money you had at that moment and all that other good stuff, which you now get online, except obviously, unless the bank was robbed, you're a hell of a lot safer with that old method than you are, it seems, with this new method.
Well, potentially. You just have to have a plan in place. Make sure that you're regularly and routinely downloading your bank statements. Make sure that you have all of that information in a format that you can use whether or not you have electricity and whether or not things are wet. So this is maybe, my brother was really great at this. He used to take and print things out because he was in the Army. And so he would have all of his strategies and plans already printed out in this super teeny tiny font, and he would have those cards laminated. So he would have those stored in a safe or somewhere safe that he could access those in the event of an emergency. And this was before we really had home computers and things. This is what he would do back in the day. And you have those laminated cards, even in the midst of flooding, you'll still be able to have account numbers, emergency phone numbers, policy numbers, all of that stuff. And with technology today, you can actually take actual photographs and have those printed out and then laminate those and keep those all stored in a secure location within your home where it's easily accessible. So maybe it's a carrying safe that you can just grab the whole safe and make it out the door as you're being evacuated. That's one way that you can do this. But technology is here with us, and so we can maximize using technology accessing the latest information, because that's not going to go away. Once everything gets back up online, you'll still have that restored access to your account information. And as long as you keep your most recent record of it by going and downloading your statement or your most recent balance, just take a snapshot of it. It could be as simple as a screenshot on your phone and having battery backups fully charged and ready to go for your phone.
I know about this stuff. You know about this stuff. You know about physical records. You know about bank books. You know about checkbooks and ledgers and balancing things out. How do you think a millennial will handle that?
It depends on how prepared they are. It depends on if they grew up as typical millennials with helicopter parents that made sure that their world was safe and they didn't experience anything wrong or evil with the world. They were protected from having to go to funerals. They didn't have to bury their own dog. They were just told that it crossed the Rainbow Bridge and never had to learn how to handle any of life's catastrophic events.
Are
the sooner that people can start.
Are they more of a target than us baby boomers? I'm not.
No,
and please, I'm not saying you are a baby boomer. Okay, you look beautiful,
no,
young. You're Gen and look lovely. So
Thank you.
I'm not meaning to insult you in any way or form.
No, and I wasn't.
No,
So you're
good. I'm glad.
But the challenge is that millennials and Gen Z have kind of grown up in bubbles. You know, they had play dates. They didn't get to go out and explore the world. In my world, I had to be home when the street lights came on. And in Arizona in the summer, that's like 9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we had to experience life. You know, I would get hurt oftentimes. And I was so afraid of getting in trouble for doing something that got me hurt that I just would figure out how to fix myself. You know, I can't tell you how many times I had to perform surgery to remove metal shards because I was climbing in construction sites that say nobody enter.
So you did crazy stuff too.
Oh yeah, crazy is my middle name for goodness sake.
I know. I did some stuff that I think of now, and I go, "What an idiot! Why would you do that?" I mean, I climbed up one of the stanchions for the Verrazano Bridge in Brooklyn, and jumped down onto the highway with cars coming, because I saw a little tiny booth that led underneath to a catwalk that stretched completely from Richmond in New York or Staten Island to Brooklyn. And I went out there just to go ahead and be in the Narrows and watch the boats go by. And then, but I'm risking my life to do these moronic things. At least it didn't.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, but it didn't affect my pocketbook. It didn't affect me that way. It may have affected me, physically if things didn't go the way that they did. But today,
that involved critical thinking. You had to figure out, okay, how do I get down there, and then what happens if I don't make it safely?
Right, and the timing is right because you don't want to land on the highway. You don't want to land on the highway as a car is coming at you, so there's some timing involved with it and all of that. But
yeah, I mean, we focused this generation on passing, these tests, so it was about rote memorization. It wasn't about critical thinking. I mean, think about the whole generation that learned the see-say learning method to read.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now, I'm not sure if they're teaching phonics. I know they don't do cursive anymore. American history has kind of become nothing. People don't write notes anymore. It's different. But for me, social media was called outside.
Yeah, that
was it. You went outside. That was it. You walked.
Our version of texting was writing a note and folding it in a cool little triangle and passing it to your friend.
Yeah, I mean, it was completely different. We had to actually deal with and talk to people. Now, and I got to tell you, I love technology when it works well. But recently, it's been just a big pain in the ass. I ordered parking.
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned it in your intro when you were talking about Facebook. 50 million people were made vulnerable, and then another 40 million, as a precaution, were shut off and locked out of their accounts and had to reestablish connections with their accounts. So 90 million people were affected by this vulnerability. And think about all of the people, and this is going to be a staggering number, that are still vulnerable because all they did was re-log in. Every third-party app that they used Facebook as their login, now those folks, they have still those vulnerabilities out there. So even if they changed their password, if their encryption key was made available and somebody was able to get that from the vulnerability in Facebook, they still have access to all those other connected accounts.
Yeah,
That's a big problem for people. That's a security risk.
Yes, it is. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and someone steals the basket, and then you're done. I never use Facebook for anything other than to stream. I'm not on it. I don't talk to people on it. I don't do anything with it. And at the beginning, I thought, well, maybe that's why I'm not getting as many hits. Maybe I should be posting an article every day. Maybe that's what I can get people more involved with the show. But I can't stand it. To be quite honest, I'll cut off my nose to spite my face if I really don't like it. And I got to tell you, on the Michael Blum Show Facebook page, I get all sorts of people there, all sorts of people there. I mean, from people that are obviously, in my opinion, deranged, to people who can't spell or know English. Or, I mean, it's just, to me, a waste of time. And I don't know if you can, but at least if it's just Facebook and you keep your own Facebook email and you don't associate anything with it, at least I think you're better off that way. Because otherwise, as you said, you're just going to get screwed. Why on earth would someone rely on Facebook, of all things, to go ahead and provide them with their logins and their security? I mean, to me, it's just foolish.
Well, it's not about Facebook only, because you can use Twitter, you can use Google. There's quite a few that you can use as your login as. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with it being the particular social media service. It has to do with what I talk about on my TV show, Unlock Your Wealth Today, that can be found at unlockyourwealthtoday.com. And it's our natural tendency to be driven toward the novel, and we want to avoid pain. And let me tell you, how many times do you like having to type in your full show name at wherever your email address provider is, .com, .net, .whatever, and then you have to type in your sophisticated password, and if you were crafting your passwords correctly, it's 20 characters minimum, and it has a minimum of 2 capital letters, 2 numerals, and 2 symbols, and it doesn't really spell anything, so you can have at least 10,000 years of cracked protection against that. And at Heather Wagenhals, with my first and last name together, it makes sense that people would say, oh, I could type in Heather Wagenhals at my email address.com and then my 20-character password at every website, and then have a unique password at every website. Or for the low, low price of click here, I can log in with Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever social media service is providing this third-party access. And so my brain, my natural drive towards pleasure and away from pain says, click here, because that's an awful lot of pain. That's an investment of time, and I have to have instant gratification right now. And that's why it happens. No other reason. It's just it's desire to have convenience.
That's true. Now, I've never really. I'm very, very careful with my passwords and things like that. In terms of computer hacking and things of such nature, I don't believe I've been hacked, other than it's strange to me that like I got a call from American Express last week telling me, well, did you make this purchase? Did you make that purchase? And I said, no. And they closed my account and emailed me a new card. It is very, very tempting. I know what you mean, because you don't want, as these become more sophisticated, and some websites now want you to change your password every now and then, you go nuts. Well, which one did I do? Well, to me, if I did it 10 years ago, I probably used that one. And, my newer one with the characters and all that stuff makes sense only to
keep track of it all.
How do you keep track? So you get a master password program, which if someone finds that, you're royally screwed, because all they need is that one password, and now they have access to absolutely anything and everything on your computer. So it's pretty crazy. Do you have recommendations for how to handle email effectively? I mean, to protect yourself at least through email?
Well, absolutely. So you can change your security settings on your email. You could put them on the highest setting. It'll filter out everything where you have to approve email addresses in order to send you stuff. The challenge is, if you do online banking or do paperless statements with different types of account providers, then you're going to have to make sure that you approve each and every one of those. So you're going to have to regularly check your spam folders until you find out and be able to approve or whitelist, as they call it, the email addresses that you would like to receive information from. But your bigger challenges are the unsolicited ones that you don't realize aren't from the people you expect them to be from, because they're spoofing email names and addresses or stuff that looks familiar from you. So you just mentioned American Express. So if I wanted to be crafty, I could go create an American Express email address, and I make it slightly different, but it looks mostly like it's from American Express. And because I'm an American Express customer, I could create a template for this email that I want to send you that's going to have the same look and feel. And I'm going to type all of this nonsense in here that I want. I'm going to put some genuine links to the American Express website, but I'm going to tell you, use this special link to take and tell me if you have had fraudulent activity in your account. Maybe I'm sending you a fraud alert saying, please click here and type in your account information and let me know if you have used your card and what activity you've had the last, like 5 days or something like that. So you click on this link, you go to the website, it looks like American Express. If you click on any of the other buttons other than this form that it just took you to directly, they'll take you to the actual American Express website. But when you fill out this form, it's asking you account number, address, mother's big name, or whatever your social security or your security question was. It's late in the evening, forgive me.
That's okay.
And then you type in the places that you spent money at. So now I know where you regularly shop. So I can go create with this account number you just gave me. All I did was trick you out of this information. I didn't steal it at all. You actually gave it to me.
You know, what's really weird is that I've actually had legitimate phone calls, like from a bank. Like Bank of America called me up. I happen to have a credit card or two with them. And they said, hi, we want to just go ahead and verify all of the information and stuff like this. And I said to them, are you nuts? Are you kidding me? You're calling me from the bank? She says, well, it's a legitimate number. You can call us back. I said, I certainly will. And then I would hang up and you call the 800 number on the back of the card. And they say, well, yeah, that was us. That was us calling, actually. So it was a legitimate call. I guess that's the other end of the spectrum. So here you have on the people that are supposed to be protecting you, they don't know what's going on either. I mean, I don't know if you heard that the video that I played where the guy is actually able to make it look like someone else is calling your phone.
I could do that right now. And make you think that I'm anyone. And that's the challenge. A few years back, Verizon, there was this Verizon 28 scam. And what they would do is they had the actual phone number from Verizon. So if you hit the number and called it back on your caller ID because you didn't recognize it, it would actually be the one to Verizon. Now, if you would ask them and go to a customer service person and wonder why they called, they would say they didn't call. But then the next time you actually did answer, because now you recognize the number, now you saved it in your phone, and it's going to tell you, oh, hey, you know what? We're offering you this rebate for being a loyal customer. And I said, really, that's great because I'm with Sprint.
Mm-hmm.
And so they hung it right up on me.
My favorite.
There was another.
I was going to say my favorite one I had at my office actually when I was in Fort Lauderdale, maybe 2-3 years ago. Scared. We got a phone call and the guy says, "Hi, I'm from Florida Power and Light, and we've noticed here you haven't paid your bill, and we want to take the information now. We're going to cut your electricity off." And the staff came to me going crazy, and I said, I paid my bill. This is nonsense. And they gave me the phone number, and I called the guy back, and my wife says, why do you do this? It's so stupid. And I argued with the guy. I said, you're a goddamn thief. I can't stand people like that. And he said, he threatened my life. Oh, I know where you are. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to go ahead and beat the crap out of you. I said, oh, it's fine. I carry, and I'm pretty good, so I'll just blow your head off. And
exactly.
And my wife says, "Why would you get involved with that?" Here, it's the West. Well, you're in Arizona. I don't know what the guy.
Heckler and Koch actually is my security team.
Who is?
Heckler and Koch.
Heckler and Koch.
I'm an HK girl. Yeah.
Okay.
I carry the VP9, so.
All right.
A judge. I also have a judge too, in case I need a revolver.
Mm-hmm. You never know.
Got that.
I'm in love with my little Walther 22. Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, well, it's like a pea shooter, but it can kill you. It's similar, but not so much. I'm always amazed at what's going on. Now, there was a news scam. I'm going to see if I can play this video with you. Let me just see where we are, and I'm going to pop this up and see what we can do here. Let me get this started.
It's National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we've put together a quick and simple list to help protect yourself online and off. This is Digital Security Life Hacks. Let's dive in. Do you use your main email address to sign up for everything? This can lead to tons of spam and put your security at risk. Instead, have 2 different email addresses, one for very important accounts such as your online banking, and another for social networks. Even better, if you only access a site once or twice, try using a disposable email such as 10minutemail.com. All of these things will help you never have to worry about your accounts being compromised again. Want to surf the web anonymously? You can use your browser's incognito mode for starters, but if you want to take it to the next level and go completely untraceable, try using Tor. You can grab it at torproject.org and install it in minutes. Tor sends your traffic through virtual tunnels around the world to get you anonymous and secure. Do you buy a lot of stuff online? Never opt in to store your credit card information on the server itself. You never know if the company's server will be compromised or who might have access to that data. So spend an extra bit of time when you order something to protect yourself. When using a public internet connection at a cafe, school, or anywhere really, always select the public network option to make sure you are not accidentally sharing all your private files with the rest of the users. Getting into the habit of this can save you a huge headache in the future. When setting up common security questions on many websites, you often might get asked what your favorite pet name is. Using the real names can be one of the easiest ways for a hacker to gain control of your accounts. Put in a word that only you know, and your account will be that much safer. Share carefully on your social media accounts. While it is fun to tell your friends and family about what you're up to, make sure your privacy settings are set in a way so that not just anyone can see where you've checked in or when you might be leaving your house. Following these rules of thumb will give you privacy while still keeping in touch. And finally, your home network. In some cases, just password protecting your Wi-Fi isn't enough. Try turning on MAC filtering in your router's advanced settings page. This will let you give access only to the machines you have approved, whether they have the password or not, making your network that much more secure. We would love to hear your security tips and tricks in the comments below. Let us know what little things you do to stay secure online, and if you want more life hacks like this, check out intel.com/lifehacks. We'll see you next time.
Pretty crazy stuff, you know?
That was great advice. That was really great advice. And some other things that I also do on like the home networking for the wireless, I don't even broadcast the SSID. There's no reason why it needs to be broadcast if you have all of your MAC addresses registered for all your devices. And it's real simple. The next time you get a new phone or a new tablet or computer, all you need to do is capture that information on this one, go to one of your existing logins. And now my newest network that I just built, as a matter of fact, yesterday, all I have to do is I have an app on my phone that I can go in and just tweak it right there on my phone from anywhere in the world. So if I am compromised and I'm traveling, I can lock down my home network from somewhere else in the world.
You know, you're developing your own networks. You're here, you're you're a certified identity theft management, a risk management person. You are basically a woman for all times, it seems. So
I have been called a Renaissance woman with my many talents, yes.
yeah, so how did you get started in this? I can't imagine you being like in 4th grade or something going, you know, I'm going to be a certified identity theft risk management person when I get older. How'd you get involved with all this?
Well, so it's an interesting story. I was one of those smarty pants kids that was always in trouble. So they would take me out of my class and they would take me to these gifted classes. And in the 4th grade, I got to program on an IBM PET computer. I don't know if you remember those. The computer was this big and the screen was this big. And you know, it was green with light green writing on it. And so I learned how to program computers way back then before there were all of these operating systems. Now, as I aged, I started to become a victim of identity theft. When I was 19, I got this letter from the IRS saying that I owed taxes. And I said, for what? Being a cheerleader in high school? And it was like, oh, by the way, you were in Pennsylvania at the time. And I said, look, I was born and raised here in Arizona. I don't know what you're talking about, right? And so as the cocky 19-year-old that I was, I just went, shh, 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 threw that away. Because they said, refile your taxes. And I said, how can I refile if I never filed? So I just disregarded it. And then by the time I was 22, well, Uncle Sam decided to freeze my bank account. And, you know, the bank kept letting me deposit money in the bank, you know, and I was working in a bar when I was trying to go to college, and I'm depositing money in the bank. And the bank never told me that my account was frozen. They kept letting me put money in every day.
Sure. Putting in is easy.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Coming out is tough. Yeah. Getting money out.
Right. And I didn't know that my account was frozen until they showed up at my work to repo my vehicle, because all of the checks I was writing were bouncing. But my checks were going to my mother's address because, oh, she was using my social security number too. And that's when I first discovered identity theft. And, you know, the reason why identity theft occurs among family members is because who wants to send their mother to prison? I mean, there weren't even real big laws like there are now back then for that sort of stuff. I mean,
sure.
Fraud, yeah, but you had to press charges. Yeah, I mean, so it just started from there. And then some girl where I used to work when I was in California, I went to school there for a year. I worked at this one nightclub, and you had to sign in with your social security number, and everybody signed in on the same page, your social security number, your driver's license. And so I did what everybody else did, right? Well, some girl stole my information, got a new picture at DMV for my license, said they lost it, managed to bounce a bunch of checks, managed to get a bunch of speeding tickets she never paid for. And I had to get dispensation from the courts to travel to California because there was a warrant out for my arrest. So I could go clear this up and prove that I hadn't lived there anymore when these things were occurring.
That's so crazy.
Really awful.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
You know, today, I'm always surprised too, because believe it or not, today I got an email from someone very, very important in Nigeria. And
I hope that they didn't send you my inheritance.
Well, they wanted to send me about $20 million. And
mine, I already sent my info over. You better not take my money.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny that a lot of that crap, you know, still goes on and still happens. I'm surprised that people still fall for it, but I guess they do. You know, one of the rules of thumb I came up with basically was that I will never give to you any information whatsoever about anything about me or my family or my life unless I have propagated the call, the initial call. Mm-hmm. So if I call the bank up and they say, well, what's your social security number? I would give it to them. If the bank called me up and asked, they can go pound sand. Nothing's going to happen, you know?
Yes, but okay, let's go back to what we were talking about before with that first news story that you ran where the guy was spoofing the phone numbers. Uh-huh. You know what is just as valuable as your social security number these days? It's your phone number, your mobile phone number. And if I spoof your mobile phone number, I can call your creditors and it's going to automatically recognize me as you. And if I've trolled your Facebook page, I might know that your dog's name is Fluffy. I might know that your maternal grandmother just celebrated her 97th birthday, and now I have your mother's maiden name.
It's
because
crazy.
People put so much out, and they do it because they don't think of it as this, you know, universe is a big, bad, scary place. You know, millennials live in this kind of protected bubble, like, you know, nothing can happen to me. Their parents made them safe. They never had to deal with tragedy, protecting themselves, adversity. They were sheltered from that. And so they think that this world is this wonderful place because all my friends post happy faces and all these motivational quotes, and their lives are fabulous, even though I don't have a job. I got $100,000 in student loan debt for a degree that I can't use, and I can't get a job better than working at a local, you know, coffee shop as a barista. But I'm going to pretend like my life's still great too, because everybody else is pretending that their lives are great.
You know
and
how I look.
Meanwhile, I just stole all of your private data, and now I can hack into your account.
That scared the crap out of me, by the way, when I first saw that video, when I was kind of just searching around, that they could just call and it's you. That's amazing. But, you know, I kind of look at it is that I love computers. I was always involved with computers. I used to know machine language that you would use and punch into cards. And
the binary numbers and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I had a friend who was a real whiz with that in high school. So I used to go ahead and he developed a program.
I did BASIC and Fortran and COBOL. Those are the languages I learned. I learned a little DOS.
I liked DOS. I thought DOS was really cool. But I kind of look at
HTML is real similar if you ever do any website stuff.
Right, the HTML.
HTML is similar command.
Yeah, the markup language, pretty easy. But how I look at it nowadays is I look at the internet and all of this cyber stuff as a jungle. And the jungle is beautiful. The jungle is gorgeous, it's lush, it's plants, life is profound in it. But if you don't know how to handle yourself in the jungle, you're going to die.
Well, exactly. You have to be tactically aware. It goes back to preparedness each and every time. You know, we must be physically aware of our surroundings. You know, one of the things that I took in the 90s was jujitsu, you know, because I figured, you know what, I'm pretty tall. I carry myself very confidently. So the likelihood of me just being mugged is probably pretty low. But the likelihood of maybe a sexual assault, that's very likely. And so I picked jujitsu specifically because it's freestyle ground fighting. And that's where I'm going to need to go, is to the ground. And I need to be able to fight there. And so people are like, why would you take that? Do you want to be a cage fighter? And I'm like, no, but I need to be able to defend myself.
Sure. I mean,
made sense to me.
Yeah, I took Taekwondo, karate when I was younger. And after many, many years, I was actually able to catapult my belt level to yellow. You know, so.
But jujitsu was tough. I made it to blue, and I thought that was quite, you know.
So I'm very happy. I'm very happy for my Glocks and my Walthers and all of that stuff. I'm not the strongest of dudes around. I'm not a teeny guy, but I think that the weaponry is just a big leveler between people.
Yeah, my first father-in-law says, I don't need karate, I have gun get you.
That's right, gun get you. Or American karate, I could, you know, I'm from Brooklyn, so I pick up a garbage pail and smash you on the head and then run. I mean, that's kind of...
There you go.
That's kind of how it went. I was listening to a radio show about a week or so ago, and an ad came on for something called title protection.
Title protection?
They said that it's very easy for someone, if they get your information, to go ahead, file forms with the state, and claim that your house now, and they still use your name and everything and the address, but basically they now own the title to your house. And what they do then is they go ahead and they enter into whatever agreements in your name, and the money is all that's used as collateral for whatever it is they want or that they withdraw is all against your house. And you don't know about it until someone sends you a bill. And,
that's curious.
So
how does this title protection work?
I don't know.
I'm in real estate, so this is kind of a new thing to me.
Yeah, it's called title lock, which is similar, I guess, to LifeLock. But basically what they're supposed to do is they secure the title in your house and make sure that nothing has ever changed without you being notified about it, I believe. How they do it or what the background is to it, I don't know. And you start to get, or at least I do.
It's public information.
There's who? I'm sorry?
It's public information, you know, so to be able to find what your ownership records are when it comes to real property is fairly simple. Just look it up.
Yeah.
At whatever the governing body is that registers it. Mostly here in Arizona, it's a county registration, you know. But, you know, how do they like transfer the title without your signature?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they forge it, or they don't know it, or whatever, and people aren't looking. You know, I mean, because this is, and you know, it's so weird.
But that's what title insurance is for. Why would you need title lock?
Well,
that's a curious thing. Now I'm going to have to do some research on it. Now I got another story to write.
Because for all I know, this could be a company that's a sham company that's taking airtime on the radio to go ahead and promote themselves.
I mean, in the 90s, they here in Arizona, if you're a primary, if it's your primary resident, you can't lose your property to debt. We don't have to homestead. But there was a company in the 90s going around making people all freaked out that, oh my gosh, you could lose your home to excessive debt. And so they would charge you and it was nominal. I think it was like $25 to homestead your property. But you didn't need to do that in the state of Arizona. And if you knew the laws of the state of Arizona, and it was a good little sham because it was just enough money to make it worth their while. $25 a pop, so every 4 people, that's $100, right?
Sure.
And $25 isn't, I mean, in the 90s, $25 still bought quite a bit, but it wasn't anything that you were going to sweat. $20 or $25, you thought you were buying peace of mind.
Yeah. Now, I got to tell you that I looked up whether it's true that people can steal your title, and there was a document from the FBI.gov that said, yeah, they said that the cases are very
possible,
very rare and very remote, but it's possible.
Fraudulent, or it had to be forged. And then again, that's why buy or acquire property, you have title insurance to insure against those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy a piece of property, you should always do a title search, because you don't want somebody coming back saying 100 years ago, your grandpappy played my grandpappy in a card game, and my grandpappy lost, but it's because your grandpappy cheated.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
I want that family property back. And that's what title insurance insures against or protects against. So it'll either pay to go away or it'll pay you to go find another piece of property. That's why I'm thinking that this is something superfluous that they're doing, that it's a scam.
Yeah, it very well
or
could be.
Or at best, it's misleading.
Yeah. So anyway, it's called Title Lock, and you can check it out. Let me know what you find.
I'm going to write this down.
All right, you do that.
Right now.
I take notes too, so if I look like I'm down here, it's because I want to remember a whole bunch of things as I speak to you. I'm curious, since we're talking about Title Lock, I am a member of LifeLock, and I was curious what you felt about that.
Well, it's funny that you asked that. I actually I have a different company that actually sponsors my show. But with LifeLock, the problem with LifeLock is it's reactionary. Okay, it says, okay, guess what? Somebody used your credit. Well, it's already happened. So thanks for the heads up, but again, it's already happened. What you need to do is freeze your credit. And now we just had a new law that was put into effect that says, guess what? They have to freeze and unfreeze your credit for free now. There's no charge. They used to charge, and it was a nominal fee of $5 to $7, but now blanket across the board. It's been changed federally, and that you can freeze and unfreeze your credit without penalty. And that's what you should be doing. It serves 2 purposes, actually, also. One, it other people from using your credit, and it creates just enough of an inconvenience so you aren't spontaneously applying for impulse credit purchases. Like when you go to the register and, have you applied for a red card today? You could save 10%. And you're like, what? And now you charge on this, you save 10%, and then you forget to pay the bill, and now you got your credit ding.
That's crazy stuff. It's amazing how creative people are when they want to rip you off. I mean, it's like an ongoing, continual thing. It's just very, very odd.
You would just wonder, like, if they applied themselves and that much ingenuity to legal ventures, how successful could they possibly be? And they wouldn't have to be looking over their shoulder. Oh my gosh, are the cops out?
Yeah, well, they have to kind of, I guess, go the other way. It's like someone who was a prosecutor for the state now works as a defense attorney against the company they worked with. You have to go ahead at some point in time and just maybe switch it up. But you're right. It's amazing how much energy people put into ripping you off. And like you said, sometimes maybe it's just not worth it. But I guess it must be, because there are many, many, many people who are doing it.
And the challenge is that there are laws in place, But, you know, when you deal with other countries, yes, they may that exist on the book, but are they enforcing them? And if they are, to what degree? Is it consistent across the board? Or are they like enforcing these little people, but because of the general nature of the economy and the other nefarious entities, maybe officials are looking the other way, you know, maybe money moves around a little too fast to track, or, you know,
Yeah,
it's
you
questionable.
never know who's getting a piece of it, do you?
Exactly.
You never do. Want to watch another video with me?
Okay, I'm up for it.
All right, let's go ahead and do that.
We told you earlier this week the FBI is warning banks to be on guard against cyber attacks at ATMs. The agency says a global scam is in the works to steal millions of dollars from customer bank accounts. As CBN's national security correspondent reports, the best time to strike is over a holiday weekend like Labor Day, when no one knows what's happening. Here's Eric Rosales.
Federal agents tell CBN News these crooks armed with nothing more than a computer linked up to a fake bank card are walking up to these ATMs, putting it inside, and then infecting the units with malware. After putting in a passcode, they're able to wipe out fraud controls, such as cash limits, allowing them to walk away with all the money that's inside the ATM. The FBI alerted international banks that criminals are plotting a coordinated global cyber attack on cash machines in the next few days. Cyber hack experts say the attack is imminent.
So they have all of these card numbers and potentially PIN numbers that go with that. So what they do is they clone a bunch of these and then they wait for a weekend. Guess what's coming up? Labor Day, Monday, September 3rd. So they've got Saturday, they've got Sunday, they've got Monday.
3 days of theft, allowing them to steal millions of dollars. It was just last year. $2.4 million was stolen from accounts at the Virginia-based National Bank of Blacksburg in 2 separate ATM cash-outs. The FBI is urging banks to review their security, such as implementing stronger password requirements and updating software. Most bank accounts are insured, but customers still need to know the maximum protection. Security experts say it's important to monitor accounts regularly by going online, or at least checking monthly statements. The sooner you report suspicious behavior, the more likely you are to get at least some of your money back.
If you go online and have it online, you can check more regularly, but at least in my experience, looking at them monthly, I can still contest them.
The FBI also advises consumers to examine any ATM carefully before using it and look for card readers or even cameras. Because these crooks have to physically hack the ATM and wait for all the money to be dispensed, that takes a lot of time. Agents are advising the public, if you see that happening, to immediately call police. Eric Rosales, CBN News.
More crazy stuff. It kind of makes me feel that kind of hopeless in a way, because if they can hack these machines and just empty them, I mean, at least it's not affecting my account personally, but you probably...
It does affect them.
Right.
It creates higher costs.
Yeah, so it does affect indirectly something. And that was weird to me. He said that the guy did $2.4 million over 2 cash outs. How much money is in one of those machines? And they have $1 million in each. You know, I mean,
you got to wonder how many 20s are in there, because they only come out 20 at a time.
You know, so that's weird to me. The guy says 2.4 million and 2 cash outs. So that's pretty lucrative.
It has to be coordinated attacks. You have to have multiple people involved, and you know, and I love watching crime shows. I love reading all kinds of, you know, assassin and spy novels. And I just think about like some of the Ocean's 11 movies. I mean, every person you bring in to your little thief ring, you've got yet another vulnerability. You've got somebody that can squeal, somebody that doesn't perform. So, you know, it doesn't make sense to have to use so many people. But if you want to do a theft on a grand scale, you can't do it alone. You're going to have to figure out a way to get it done. And you're going to have to do it that way. It brought up something interesting, and it talked about the ATMs. You know, I would only use an ATM as an individual if you really need to access cash, where they are located inside a bank, where you actually have to walk in. It's not on the street. I would not use debit cards on ATMs. I would not use them anywhere on gas pumps. And I would never, ever make a purchase on a debit card. So many financial gurus and personal finance so-called experts say, oh, use your debit cards, cut up your credit cards, but all your consumer protections are in credit. It's foolish to do it any other way. And for a couple of reasons. The first thing, your money is gone. You only have 24 to 48 hours to start disputing it. Well, what if you don't check your bank balance for a week? You're going to be liable for a portion of that debt. The beautiful thing about using credit cards is, number one, no cash has left your pocket. And number two, if you don't owe that transaction, you can dispute it, and legally you do not have to pay until the bank proves that you spent the money.
Sure. And I had a problem with a debit card. I used to use a debit card from time to time for my business. I noticed a whole bunch of charges that just weren't from me. So I closed the debit card, and it amounted to about maybe $1,800 in charges from various different sources from all over the place.
That's a lot.
And it was after a few days. So I called up the bank and I gave them the information. And you know what the bank did for me? They did nothing. I was able to get back all my money by finding these people, explaining to them what happened. And all of them gave me my money back, except for one corporation. Corporation's called Google. Google is the name of the corporation. Okay. Yes. I called them on 3 occasions.
They have very rigid terms of service.
Yeah, so I called them 3 times, and someone was supposed to get back to me that never did. And since the total amount there was less than $50, it wasn't just worth my time anymore. But I've learned the hard way from what you've just said is that basically, when I went in, I told the banks I recouped this money, and they said, "Wow, you did a good job." So they're not going to help you.
Well, exactly, because it's not their money to chase. And what people need to realize is you get one transaction that's off. So let's say you're a person that is on a tight budget. Everything that comes in is allocated and going back out. Let's say you're a hypervigilant person. You've got everything set up on bill pay, right?
Mm-hmm.
It only takes one errant $5 or $10 transaction that somebody processes on your account to throw everything out of whack. Because what happens is they process the largest payment first. So let's say you have $30 in your account, right? Your paycheck hasn't hit yet. All right. And a $50 transaction comes through because somebody ate away 5, 10, whatever, and you don't have the $50 to make that big transaction go through. So it rejects that. And now it charges you $30 for an overdraft fee. So now your $30 is gone too. All right. So your 50 didn't get paid. So you still owe that guy the 50. Now you're down 30 and you have a zero balance. And the coffee you just bought this morning for $5, now you still owe that, but it doesn't get paid. And now you get another $30 charge, and now you're negative money.
Yeah, it gets nuts. Sometimes I don't know whose side the banks are on, but I've yet to really find a good bank to deal with that's kind of like that, that really would really takes care of their business and has you.
And I'm not happy with my bank, but I've been there 25 years. I'm afraid to go somewhere else because it's the devil I know versus the devil I don't know. Do I want to have a negative experience somewhere else and lose even more money, or do I just want to say, okay, I know how these guys play the game?
Yeah, and I had some really big issues. This was fraudulent to me too, and I'm not going to name names, so I won't mention Wells Fargo, but.
We probably shouldn't know that.
But I had 2 mortgages out on my building in Fort Lauderdale at one time, and they kept on missing. One payment would come late, and I would always get like a surcharge, like you said, an extra $20, $25, $30. So I went into the bank, and I said, I don't want to get all of these charges. And they said to me, well, if you open up a checking account, then we can kind of work things out so that you won't get any charges. So I said, fine. The first thing that the bank assistant did was they set up the debits, because I knew when they were supposed to drop. They set up the debits so that when they would drop, I would avoid all charges anyway. And I set up this new account because they said that would be the key to it. And as I'm setting up the account, they said to me, we're going to give you a credit card with the account. I said, I don't want a credit card with the account. They said, well, it comes with the account. So I said, well, all right.
Okay.
As it turns out, the bank screwed up, and I still was getting charged all of these extra charges. But guess where the charges appeared? On the credit card.
On the new account?
On the credit card from the new account. And so I would get statements.
So now you're paying interest on the fees that you charged inappropriately?
So now would take the credit card, statement would come in. I wouldn't even look at it. I'd rip it up and throw it away because I never used the card. I never even wanted the card.
Why would you?
You know, so after someone finally called me up, I said, "What are you talking about?" And when I went into Wells Fargo to remedy the situation, they said, "Well, our credit division is not our bank. There's nothing we can do to help you." So I said, "Oh, really? Okay, then let me close every single account I have with you." And at the time, it was like five accounts with them. And a year and a half later, they were sued from the Federal Trade Commission, I think, for doing just that. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of theirs either. My brother and I were prohibited from opening checking accounts. We got stuck on check systems because our mother had this brilliant idea that she would add mine and my brother's security number every time she opened up a checking account, and she was a routine check bouncer. And even though it was only her that ever wrote checks on this account, she forged our names on the signer card. That I said, that's not even my signature. I said, why do I have to pay this balance? You know, my brother had security clearances with the military. His career was in jeopardy because our mother was a check bouncer.
Sounds like mom gave you a whole bunch of issues.
Yeah. It's difficult when you're raised by an undiagnosed mentally ill person, and she never was able to get help, and so that was an unfortunate thing. But yes, my brother and I did learn quite a bit about how to protect ourselves and defend ourselves in today's world because, we were essentially, the enemy was within.
Sure. And moms, your mom has some knowledge of that. I mean, both my parents, thank God, are alive. My mother's 87 years old, and technology is something that is like amazing to her. She doesn't know how to handle anything for the most part. Doesn't know how to have a computer, doesn't know how to do email, doesn't know how to do anything, doesn't know how to get an Uber, nothing. I mean, zero. I was riding in the car with her the other day and I called my wife up using voice recognition on the car and she's like, "That's fascinating. I've never seen anything like that." And I said, "Well, Mom, you're living in the past." She said to me, I don't like how your dad's really driving. Maybe I'll take driving lessons. And I said, "No, what you should do is take a computer lesson. Get rid of your car, get rid of all of that, and Uber.
Yeah.
And,
somebody just called my mother. I've been paying her phone bill forever on her mobile phone, and she says, "Why are they turning off my phone?" And I'm like, "Nobody's turning off your." She goes, "Well, they just called me and they said that I needed to pay my bill or it's being disconnected and stuff." I'm like, "You're not even an authorized signer on this account. Ignore that."
Yeah, it's amazing, and
it's a scam call.
And I get concerned because my father doesn't have any short-term memory anymore. He's 90. Going to be 91 next month.
And he's driving?
And he's driving. We just had the doctor say no more driving for you, which I was happy about because it's like frick and frack. He knows how to drive and how to get to places, but he doesn't know where he's going, and my mother can tell him where to go. Which is kind of like, in the olden days, I mean, for a wife to tell the husband where to go, that's a good thing, doesn't that? Let me tell you where you can go. So,
for her it was, at least.
Yeah. So I get concerned with that because like my mother said one day, he was on the phone and he's talking to someone and he said, and he gave my mother's name and all that. My mother said, who are you talking to? And he's like, "Shh, shut up, shh, shut up." And he hangs up the phone and she doesn't know who he talked to. 3 minutes later, he doesn't know that he made a phone call or that a phone call came in. So that's a whole different type of elder scams that go on that I think I'll do a little bit more reading on because that's potent stuff. So
but millennials are more vulnerable. At least, the elderly, because of their lack of knowledge, they're not as trusting, especially if you think about the silent generation, those that are still around, when you growing up in wartime or times of fashion, rationing, or maybe they're from a foreign country and they immigrated here.
Yeah.
And they don't trust the government at all because they came from a communist country or an oppressive regime.
So in a way, ignorance is better than bliss here in this case. Ignorance is good because it protects you. We've been yakking here for about an hour or so, and I figured we should come to a conclusion. But I know you're an author, so I want you to tell us about Yes You Can, your best-selling book that you have, and and Bushido Business. And I know I certainly want to promote Unlock Your Wealth Radio, because that's a whole thing we didn't talk about protecting wealth and how you can kind of multiply your life savings to make them really life savings. So tell us a little bit, how can we get the books? Where can we find you? What's your website? All of that other good stuff.
Okay, so all of my books are available on the largest bookstore in the world, Amazon.com. We're on Barnes & Noble and some of the other retailers, but they don't always have my books in stock. Yes, You Can, and the latest version of Yes, You Can, which was the 7 Elements for Self-Empowerment, Yes, You Can 2.0, is all about creating and using my biology-based approach to success to address any challenges that you want to overcome, whether they're personal or professional. My Keys to Riches is my financial philosophy that I created to help people overcome their personal, professional challenges, to get out of debt, achieve financial freedom, and live the life of their dreams. And we do this on Unlock Your Wealth Radio, which now simulcasts my new TV show, which is unlockyourwealthtoday.com. And my next book is about how to avoid identity theft, frauds, and scams. It's called Money, Credit, and You. And you can find out the latest ways to protect yourself against identity theft, frauds, and scams from my website, moneycreditandyou.com.
That's moneycreditandyou.com, along with everything else. Like I said, a woman for all times, the Renaissance woman. I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope you had a good time. I certainly did. I'm going to go ahead.
I enjoyed myself. What a lively discussion.
Yeah. I try to keep it light. I try to keep it going. So if I could have you back on, I think you'd be great. You're a phenomenally good guest. I'm going to play another video. You don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. If you'd like to.
Oh, no, let's have at it. I want to watch the next one. Let's do it all.
All right, so let me check this one out with you.
Robocalls are off the hook these days, some 30 billion last year, and now there's a new and especially devious scam. Gail Worth was busy packing for a move when her phone rang.
He said, "This is Tony Moore. Can you hear me clearly?" And I just hung up. I didn't say another word.
Police now warning criminals are calling people at random to secretly record them.
They're extremely annoying. I'm on the National Do Not Call Registry, and I guess that means nothing these days.
The calls imitate professional salespeople. Take a listen.
Hi, this is Josh from the Customer Service Department. Can you hear me okay?
Your answer, yes, is secretly recorded. Later, the scammer calls back, demanding payment, using that recording as proof you agreed to pay for goods or services. On social media, victims are speaking out, saying, "Just found an unauthorized charge on my card, and they got me." They're super slick.
So we have seen these robocalls get more sophisticated and even mimic things like background noise to convince you as the recipient of the phone call that it's a real person.
To protect yourself, the Federal Trade Commission recommends never give out your personal information. And if you receive a pre-recorded sales call, or if someone asks, "Can you hear me?" just hang up.
This will continue to open up different ways for fraudsters to try and pretend that they are us and commit fraud that will eventually hit our pocketbooks.
A warning for all Americans to be wary of who's on the other end of the line. Jolene Kent, NBC News, Washington.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our
Pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah, that's a popular one. And the easiest way is to never say hello. It's our instinct when we pick up the phone to say hello. And they're sensing for a valid number.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you have to just shut up. If you don't recognize the number, if it's not your friend that's already stored phone, I just wait for them. You can tell the difference if it's somebody doing that. "Hey, can you hear me? It's Bob from the Customer Service Department." Well, which one? You know, if it's a legitimate call, most people do go, "Hello, hello," because they thought maybe they missed your hello.
Sure.
And then you can tell if it's a real human being. But if it's like, "Hi, this is Bob from Customer Service. Can you hear me clearly?"
Sometimes I ask them what they can do for me. But my wife has cautioned me with that. I go, "Hi," they go, "Hello," and I go, "What can you do for me today?" And if it's
Well, and the problem is once you speak, they know that they have a valid phone number. And so then now they can not only call you back, but they can sell that to another person that will start robo-dialing you because they know they have a valid existing phone number. And it's not a fax machine, and it's not a disconnected number because they actually were able to detect your voice. And so just picking it up and answering it without saying a word is what you got to do to flush out the call, because it'll hang up real quick.
Yeah, and I know if you just hang out, you can tell if someone's actually calling you. They go hello right away. They don't wait for your name, number, and potential name to appear on their screen to go ahead and then start to address you. You know, so there are more scams out there than are imaginable, folks. So protect yourself, because they are out there, and they are, in many cases, really out for blood. And you just got to know who you're talking to and what's going on. So again, I want to thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm going to sign off here. I've been talking over an hour or so, and time to move on. Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time. I hope you did too. If you'd like,
it's been a pleasure. I did.
When I clean this up, I could send you a copy of it if you'd like.
I would love that. Thank you very much. And I'll put it up on Unlock Your Wealth today.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Thank you so much. Folks, we've been talking to Heather Wagenhals, and she is an expert in theft risk management in terms of all sorts of cyber issues. Again, please go ahead and write it down, Unlock Your Wealth Radio. And you can also read her books again on Amazon, Yes You Can, and Bushido Business. And I'm going to be signing off now, so I want to just end my show how I usually end my show and tell you that everything in life, folks, out there is possible. Fewer things are probable. But one thing's certain, and that's that you're alive. So go out and live your life to its fullest, because tomorrow is promised to nobody. Speak to you next week.